it's okay. Agenda. How about yourself? Who do you got it? Thank you. Yeah, I'm. Scott, Paul.
Aloha and welcome. I'm requesting all neighborhood board members to take their seats, please. We're going to start with an attendance.
Oh, really? Yeah, I could just with them. Yeah.
Because there's people online.
Oh, okay. Great guy. Yeah, CDL. Very good.
I'm going to call this meeting to order at 7 o'clock. Welcome. This is the August 2025 Kailua Neighborhood Board meeting. I'm Levani Lipton. I'm vice chair. Chair Hicks is out of town, so I will be chairing the meeting this evening. To start with attendance of board members. Please say present or here. Emily Andrade. Present. Emily Andrade, present. Bruce Andrews.
Present.
Bruce Andrews, present. Jennifer Barra.
Online.
Jennifer Barra, present online. Bill Hicks. Okay. Malia Anakia. Malia Anakia is present. Kellyanne Kobayashi. Okay. David Laeha.
Here and online.
David Laeha is present online. Jade Lau. Jade Lau is present. Levani Lipton is present. Max Markrich.
Here.
Did I say that right? Okay, Max Markrich is present. Kate Ryder. Kate Ryder is absent. Okay, Kalama. You want me to say your full name? Okay, Kalama Souza is here. I was like, I need to practice this. I don't want to get it wrong. Malia Thames? Absent, okay. Steve Trecker. Steve Trecker is present. Jeremy Trexon. Jeremy Trexon is present. Evan Weber. You're on a different side of the table. Evan Weber is present. Gary Weller. Gary Weller is present. John White. John White is present. Donna Wong.
Present.
Donna Wong is present. Okay, we have 16 members present. We have a quorum, which is good because we have several motions tonight. Okay, the second item on our agenda is under the announcements section, certificate of appreciation to Sean Dupree of Forever Stone in Kailua. Is Mr. Dupree here? Oh, you're accepting it on his behalf? Okay. Okay. Anyway, this certificate of recognition is because Mr. Dupree has graciously allowed us to use his truck when we ride in the annual Kailua 4th of July parade. So it was decorated beautifully this year with lots of natural foliage and tea leaves and monstera. So we just wanted to mahalo him for allowing us to have the transportation so that some of us don't have to walk and we can have a lot of board members participate in the parade. So thank you, Mr. Dupree. You can, oh, Dupee, sorry, Mr. Dupee. Thank you. The next announcement is a Kailua Legislative Town Hall for House District 50. This is Representative Mike Lee. It will be held on Tuesday, August 19th, 2025 at Kailua District Park at 6 p.m. Several members of House leadership, including the House Speaker, will also be attending. And I encourage the public to come out for this, especially it's now off session. And so this is a great way to engage with our elected officials and ask in person your questions directly of our elected officials that concern you. Next item are reports. Honolulu Police Department representative, usually it's Officer Jarrett Atkins. He's usually online. Okay. Aloha,
Yes, good
Officer
evening.
Atkins.
Good evening. I'm Officer Jared Atkins with the District 4 Community Policing Team. I have the stats for HPD for July 2025. The stats are motor vehicle thefts. There were 3 in July versus 7 in June. There were 4 burglaries in July versus 4 in June. There were 24 thefts in July versus 15 in June. There were 5 UMVs or car break-ins in July versus 6 the previous month. And there was 1 robbery in July versus 0 in June. That's it for the stats. I can take any questions or concerns.
Are there any questions from board members for Officer Atkins? Any questions online? Any questions from our audience or neighbors for Officer Atkins? It looks like you are lucky this evening. There's no questions for you, Officer Atkins.
All right. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Mahalo.
Thank you.
Next, we have Honolulu Fire Department.
Aloha kako pakahia pau. O wawo kalamaku akawai Suza. He mea kinai ahi. O makahale kinai ahi o Kailua. My name is Kalamaku Akawai Suza, firefighter here at the Kailua Fire Station. First thing, information previously requested from June. What is the role of the new fire marshal? Does she oversee the HFD? And will she address landowners with large amounts of brush to alleviate wildfire risks? The State Fire Marshal under the Hawaii Department of Law Enforcement will act as a statewide coordinator, advocate, inspector, and enforcer who will oversee the state's fire safety protocols, implement fire safety prevention and control measures, and collaborate with local agencies and the State Fire Council. The HFD and other county fire departments will remain under local governance. The State Fire Marshal will also be responsible to ensure that large landowners manage overgrowth and reduce vegetation to help mitigate wildfire threats, set standards, support law enforcement, and hold landowners accountable. Next question that was posed, what can be done about people parking in front of fire hydrants in Lanikai? Vehicles are not allowed to park within 10 feet of a fire hydrant. To make a report, call 911, inform the operator it is a non-emergency, and provide details for the Honolulu Police Department to dispatch an officer. And the last question from June, what was the location of the single brush fire among the May incident stats? The single small brush fire was near Maunawili Elementary School off of Ulupi'i Street in Olomana. Residents can now locate incidents via our fire response search tool by going to the HFD website and click on the news and info tab. Now I have our incident statistics for July 2025. As far as fires are concerned, we had 1 structure fire, 1 wildland or brush fire, 1 nuisance fire, 0 cooking fires, and 14 activated alarms, which are no fire. For emergencies, we had 91 medical emergencies, 0 motor vehicle collision with pedestrian, 7 motor vehicle crash or collision, 1 mountain rescue, 1 ocean rescue, and 0 hazardous materials incidences. And now for our fire safety tips and announcements. Our fire safety tip is regarding emergency notifications and resources. Understanding how you'll be alerted during urgent emergencies and knowing where to find accurate official information is a key part of being prepared. Learn more at honolulu.gov/dem/stay-informed. Alert methods. Opt-in alerts. These notify individuals who have signed up to receive alerts via text, email, or app push notifications based on user preferences. Alerts are not sent based on location. 1. Systems include HNL Alert and official government social media. 2. Sign up at hnlalert.gov to receive notifications. And 3. Alerts may be shared by official city, state, and trusted partner accounts. And the last part of our safety tip, public alert and warning systems. These systems deliver urgent life-saving information during immediate threats to public safety. In Hawaii, this includes 1. Emergency alert systems, 2. Wireless emergency alerts, and 3. Outdoor warning sirens. Depending on the emergency, one or more of these systems may be activated. That's all I have from the Honolulu Fire Departments. Any ninau or questions?
Mahalo, firefighter Souzer. Do we have any questions from board members? Any questions online? Any questions from our audience? We have one. Would you please go to the mic so that we can have it recorded on Olelo, please?
I'm just curious about what the number of emergency calls that you received. Do you by any chance know how many of them would be from watches?
Unfortunately, I do not know that answer. The question, just in case anybody here, was if we are aware of how many emergency calls have come from watches. Like I said, I don't currently know that answer, but I will take note of it and I will try and get that statistic for you next month.
Any other questions? Yes, David Laeha.
Hi, can you hear me all right?
Yes, we
Yes.
can.
I'm sorry, maybe for HPD, I'm not sure, but with regards to the tsunami warnings and the evacuation and the traffic situation that occurred just prior to and during the time of the tsunami, it seemed like traffic kind of came to a standstill or was highly restrictive. And I'm wondering if there were plans to make improvements to get the flow of traffic and the appropriate level of evacuation communicated.
I would imagine that's more of an HPD centric question. From our concern, I know in the past we have gone around prior to evacuations to kind of alert people to kind of help mitigate maybe some of that. But I think that would be more of an HPD operation.
Thank you.
David, we can follow up with Officer Atkins,
Thank you.
your question.
Thank you.
Any other questions from folks online? Okay, thank you so much for your report. Next, we have Honolulu Ocean Safety Department. Usually Lieutenant Tristan Fabro.
Good
Welcome.
evening. Can you guys hear me? Okay, good evening. My name is Lieutenant Tristan Fabro. I'm with Honolulu Ocean Safety. I just want to praise statistics that we collected for the month of July from Lanikai Beach all the way up to Castles. Attendance for our beaches here in Kailua is about 150,000 visitors, locals. We did about 13,000 preventative actions. So that includes us making contact with people that are unfamiliar with conditions, might be getting themselves into a situation that they don't want to be in. We did about 25,000 public contacts, and we did 33 rescues here from Lanikai to Castles Beach. I'm willing to take any questions if you guys have any.
Questions from board members? For ocean safety? Anyone online? Anyone in the audience? No, it's quiet. Oh, hold on 1 minute. Oh, Mr. Laeha has a question for you.
Sorry, Leilani, can you hear me? Okay.
Yes, we can.
With regards to ocean safety and going back to the topic of the tsunami, I'm just wondering if there were any takeaways that you would like to share with us about ways in which we can improve.
Yeah, so unfortunately I was off on the day of the tsunami, but I did get called into work. But from what I saw and what we did when I came into work for the emergency response, public response to our warnings and clearing out the beaches seemed pretty fast. They were listening to HPD, and we also worked alongside HPD to clear people out of the water, possibly from the Mokulua Islands all the way down to castles. And it seemed like everyone listened pretty good, but yeah, the traffic was pretty nuts. I would just say if you guys find yourself in a situation and you're at the beach, listen to the proper authorities and follow directions. You guys are in case of any emergencies in those times, you can contact us, HPD, HFD, and we'll be more than willing to help you guys out.
Thank.
Did you have a second question? No.
Just a quick follow-up. I was at the Sandy Beach at around 5:30 that afternoon, and the water was shut off on all the bathrooms and showers. And I'm just wondering if there was a policy that all the water public parks were turned off.
That is something I'm not too sure of, but I can get back to you on that question. That might be a question for Parks and Recs.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we're going to move on. We have some board business to conduct. We have two committee motions. The first is regarding community points of distribution for Kailua. And this was from the, I believe, Public Safety, Public Health, Civil Defense Committee. So is there someone present from that committee who would like to offer this motion?
Yep, I would. I'm the committee chair for the Public Safety and Public Health Civil Defense Committee. We had a
Could
good
you
meeting.
speak into your microphone, please?
Can you guys hear me now? Okay, good. So I don't have to yell. Yep, Jeremy Treskin. I'm the chair for the Public Safety, Public Health, and Civil Defense Committee. We had a good meeting the second week of July, and timing was very appropriate considering the tsunami scare we had less than 10 days ago. So we received a brief from Kailua Alert and Prepared regarding common points of distribution, which basically is setting up nodes of essential goods and services in certain areas strategically located on the windward side. So in case like something happens and we do get locked down, you know, all the major thoroughfares between the Honolulu side of the island and the Kailua side of the island are shut down and inaccessible. We have some goods cached that can get us kind of through a short amount of time to allow the community to reopen the avenues of approach and then kind of produce resupplies. So the intent of the Common Points of Distribution program is to set up nodes in strategic areas to give us essential goods and services in an event of an emergency, which we almost had. So that's basically it in a nutshell.
Thank you. So the motion is written in tonight's agenda. Is there a second for this motion? Someone else who was a part of that committee? Okay, seconded by John White. The motion is open for discussion now among board members. If there's any discussion or clarifying questions about this? Yes, go ahead, John.
What are the proposed sites so far for these distributions?
I think if I could turn it over to Claudine, she's back there. She has more information than I have.
Claudine, could you tell us a little bit about the proposed sites? I know some of them have been secured and some of them are possibilities right now. Can you explain? And this includes what it includes, like food, non-perishable food and supplies and things like that.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The committee met and we scrutinized Kailua because Kailua is basically in the tsunami zone. So we had to look at situations that are outside of the tsunami zone, and we looked at several sites. One of them being Mid-Pacific Country Club in Lanikai. Church of Jesus Christ of the Latter-day Saints in Keolu, Kailua Christ Church Uniting, which is next to Castle Medical Center, Kailua High School, Kalaheo High School, and the Central Union Church across from Aikahi. These are the sites that we would like to work with the Department of Emergency Management, have them speak to the property owners so that they can open up the property and serve as the community point of distribution. Any questions?
And these, yes, Ms. Wong.
What was the criteria for selecting the sites?
They had to be outside of the tsunami zone.
Okay, because I know a lot of people went to Maunawili Elementary. So was Maunawili considered?
It sure can be considered a place because right next door, you have a lot of vast area where the helicopter can land and distribute food. We also wanted to place this point of distribution close where the residents don't have to hop in the car and drive several miles away to get food and supplies for their family. They can walk because after a disaster, whether it be a hurricane or a tsunami, the roads are going to be blocked. So this is one of the criteria that we thought about. Any other question?
Yes, go ahead, Emily.
What's the timeline for securing those?
Make sure I understand your question.
What is the timeline for securing these community points of distribution?
I think it's open right now because the Department of Emergency Management under the city has no plans. So we are the first community to present a written plan. So I basically offered the department to use our plan. There are other communities like Kaneohe that is also looking into this. So as Kailua, we need to start taking action and have our elected officials also pursue this and put pressure on these agencies that you cannot sit still. Look what happened last week with the tsunami. And you know, it's still active up there. I see a lot of earthquakes occurring. They're in the 5 magnitudes. Anything up in the Aleutian area, if there is an earthquake of 9.5 or 10, you can be sure that a tsunami will hit directly Kailua and the Hawaiian Island because there's no landmass there to block the waves. So we need to work fast.
Yes, Mr. White.
Thank you, Chair. I think it would make sense to require a backup generation system at these sites. In that scenario, there's no power, and that's something we're going to need, especially perishable items. We don't have any large cold storage facilities here in the state, unfortunately.
So what we're looking at are those Matson containers that are insulated. That costs money. So we're going to have to work that out with the government and look at the working with businesses in Kailua, and we're all going to have to participate in this.
Thank you guys for your hard work.
Any other questions? Yes.
All right. Do you have a sense for what the anticipated budget may be that you're looking at for the plan? And where those funds you said may come from? You said businesses, the city, the state. What are you seeking to request ultimately?
I have no idea of the exact amount, but it's going to be quite a bit. But first, I wanted to say that the United Church, Church Christ Uniting next to Castle Medical Center is already expediting the process. They have plans. They already have plans of forming an emergency hub, which will also probably serve as a community, the first community point of distribution in Kailua. Hopefully we can store some emergency 25-year shelf life food at that area so that when people run out of their 2 weeks of emergency food, there is a place where they can go and get some subsistence. Because as you know, we will be isolated, whether it be a hurricane or whatever, we'll be isolated. So that's the importance of having a seapod.
Thank you, Claudine. Any other questions? No? Okay, I would like to call for the vote. I will be reading the therefore clause just as a summary. And then we'll go to a vote, and I'll need the voting sheet unless we do it by a hand vote. Okay, this is the motion on community points of distribution for Kailua. Motion was made and seconded. Now therefore be it resolved that the Kailua Neighborhood Board endorses the concept of designated community points of distribution throughout Kailua as proposed by the Public Safety, Public Health, Civil Defense, Disaster Preparedness Subcommittee on CPOD planning. So I'd like to call for the vote. Sorry. Oh, be it further resolved, okay, this is very long. Be it further resolved that the Kailua Neighborhood Board respectfully requests the endorsement of CPOD sites in Kailua by our elected officials. Okay. So now we'll go to a vote. Emily Andrade, how do you vote? Aye. Emily Andrade votes aye. Bruce Andrews, how do you vote? Bruce Andrews votes aye. Jennifer Barra, how do you vote?
Aye.
Jennifer Barra votes aye. Malia Ana Kia, how do you vote? Malia Ana Kia votes aye. Kellyanne Kobayashi, how do you vote?
Yes.
We're voting on the motion. Did you
Yes.
just vote here? Is that a yes?
Can you hear me?
Okay.
I can hear you.
Okay, the sound is muddled. David Laeha, how do you vote?
Yes.
David Laeha votes yes. Jade Lau. Jade Lau votes yes. Levani Lipton votes yes. Max Makrich, how do you vote? Max Makrich votes yes. Kate Ryder, how do you vote? She's not online. Okay. Kalama Souza, how do you vote? Kalama Souza votes aye. Malie Thames. Okay. Steve Trekker, how do you vote? Steve Trekker votes aye. Jeremy Treskin. Jeremy Treskin votes yes. Evan Weber, how do you vote? Evan Weber votes aye. Gary Weller, how do you vote? Gary Weller votes aye. John White, how do you vote? John White votes aye. Donna Wong, how do you vote? Donna Wong votes aye. It's unanimous. The motion carries and is adopted. Yes, congratulations, committee. Okay, the second committee motion is a motion out of the Transportation and Public Works Committee. Would someone be willing to put this motion forward?
Thank you, Chair. As the Chair of the Transportation and Public Works Committee, hello, the Kailua Neighborhood Board requests that the Department of Transportation Services implement no parking restrictions on both sides of Kaha Street between the intersection of Kaha Street and Kaipi'i Street and the entrance to Kawainui Park, often referred to as Kaha Park. This very short section of roadway, approximately 100 feet, is excessively congested due to heavy park usage, and vehicles parked in this short section often blocks driveways, encroaches into the intersection, and can affect park ingress and egress.
We need a second for this motion. Is there someone from the committee? Evan Weber would like to second this motion. The motion is now open for discussion. Anyone who has any clarifying questions or concerns from either board members, online or in person? We'll go to Donna first and then John after you, after Donna.
So Jade, who brought forth this motion? the residents who live along the lane?
I'm a tad bit embarrassed and at fault. I was not at the meeting because I was off island. But so if somebody that is here can speak to this, Evan?
Yeah, I'll speak to it, and I know that there's some residents impacted by this that are here as well. So if you guys want to speak to it, I would welcome that as well if that's appropriate, Chair. But this rose higher up to our attention over the last couple of months based on a lot of the exciting happenings around the Kabainui dog park situation. And as we started to kind of hear more about the situation in this neighborhood, it became very clear that while there were certainly some issues with the way that different agencies had gone about kind of enforcement or lack of enforcement of kind of dog issues in the park. Another big thing was that this park had become very popular for dog use and it was really dramatically impacting the residents in pretty unacceptable ways. And so the context here is that this park has become a lot more popular, and there are a lot of people that are using it with a lot of respect. And just like all of our other popular places in Kailua, there are also people that are not treating it like they would treat their own neighborhood. And because of that popularity and the consideration by departments of Parks and Recreation currently to formalize this as an off-leash dog park, which could continue its popularity or potentially even increase it. We want to look out for the residents in this neighborhood and make sure that they really don't have to keep dealing with really disrespectful people. It's not going to dramatically impact parking in Kailua in any way, but it will do a lot to make sure that neighbors can maintain their quality of life.
I was just trying to figure out how to summarize what you said, but apparently the issue is around like traffic and congestion and people parking, correct? John White wanted to ask something, and then we're going to go to Kellyanne, who's been waiting to ask a question online. Go ahead, John.
Thank you, Chair. For clarification, Kaha Street, both sides at the access egress out of the parking lot to Kaipi'i? Is that the request?
You're not on video.
Just that short stretch in front of the two homes I'm looking at?
They want to say no parking over here.
Yes. Right outside the gate.
Okay, and then
What is this street right here?
we're asking for no parking on the city and county easement portions of those
I don't know.
properties, so the people who live there wouldn't be able to park there either?
Correct.
Okay,
There's no place to park.
so what's, this is just gonna push people out more into the neighborhood
Yeah.
Or
reality, right?
parking lot. A lot of times, at least in my experience, they're empty parking places, but they want to be on the edge so they can get out quicker. They can beat the crowd and, get in the car and be gone.
Talking
before
about
everybody
four
else.
people that are affected by this.
So laziness is pushing. Okay,
I can actually answer your question a lot.
Yeah,
better.
go for it, Kaliko.
I'm the person that lives on that corner. So what happens is people don't park on the easement, they park on the road. So basically it turns it into a one-lane road with people trying to go both ways. A lot of people park there because they don't want to be locked into the park, which they shouldn't be in the park after 7 anyways, because it closes at 7.
Can I
But
see it?
for the safety reasons, we want to keep it clear to where traffic can flow both ways.
You still know.
And we know that we are not allowed to park in our easement because that's right in front of our house. That's why we're asking for this. So people can still travel both ways. If not, when you have cars blocking along that fence line, I don't know if you're looking at the picture right now, they usually park right along that fence, not on the easement. So that turns that road into a one-lane, two-way road. You have people riding bikes, kids riding bikes, people walking their dogs. It comes so traffic inundated because of all that one lane going in and out. We've seen cars already crash there several times. We've seen people back into our neighbors' mailboxes, hit the light pole by our house. So by putting it as a no parking to where no one can park on both sides of that street, we'll keep it a two-way road to where traffic can flow freely. If people are walking, they can actually walk freely without having to worry about trying to dodge cars. And people like to speed through there anyways. That short little distance, they think it's a drag strip for some reason. So that's why we suggested that just to keep that flow of traffic, to keep people safe. It's not so much affecting us, it's just the safety of everybody going to that park. Because we see it every day, almost people don't stop at the stop sign, people running, like kids having to dodge off their bike because cars are coming out of the park so fast. And with the single way in and out, that just makes it even harder for them to be safe.
Sir, could you just share your name for the record so we can get it in the minutes?
My name is Kaliko Loveland.
Okay, thank you. And we're going to go to Kellyanne Kobayashi, who has a question. And then I'm going to move us along because we need to continue with the agenda so we can get on to our important presentations. Go ahead, Kellyanne.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, sorry, you couldn't hear me before, so I'm kind of using a louder voice now. I was just wondering what has been explored in terms of like other ways to mitigate this issue. I feel like making it no parking, although it's a small portion of the street, if there's a lot of people parking there and they're gonna go somewhere else, I just feel like it's gonna maybe cause problems for other people. So I just want to know like what things have been explored. Like has HPD been notified that people have been illegally parking and blocking traffic or things like that?
Never been a problem.
Okay, I'm gonna
May I?
has a response. Go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, mahalo for that question, Kellyanne. So I just want to clarify the scope of what we're talking about here. This is like a couple of parking spots, maybe three max. Yeah, four. Okay, generously. People are using it maybe as more of that sometimes, and that's part of the issue. But my we don't think that this will have dramatic impact to park users. It will have measurable quality of life impact to the neighbors and the safety of people in this area. I want to remind people that this is also one of our more dangerous intersections because it is not a four-way stop that should be, which is another issue that we've been working to deal with DTS for a while. So this is just adding more chaos to an already dangerous area. And we think that this is something that we can do to help out the neighbors who have been kind of dealing with an influx of visitors to the park.
Thank you. I have to cut you off because we need to get to the vote. Okay, I would like to call for the vote. Emily Andrade. Emily Andrade votes aye. Bruce Andrews.
Can you speak into the mic, please?
Aye.
Bruce Andrews votes aye. Jennifer Barra.
Aye.
Jennifer Barra votes aye online. Malia Anakia. Malia Anakia votes aye. Kellyanne Kobayashi.
Abstain.
Kellyanne Kobayashi abstains. David Laeha.
Abstain.
David Laeha abstains. Jade Lau.
Aye.
Jade Lau votes aye. Leilani Lipton votes aye. Max Markrich, how do you vote?
Aye.
Max Markrich votes aye. Kate is not here. Kalama Souza, how do you vote?
I'm here.
Oh, you're online.
Yes.
Sorry, we didn't know you're online.
Yeah.
How do you vote? We're voting on this issue
Yeah.
for the parking at Kaha.
Yeah. I vote aye.
Okay, Kate Ryder votes aye. Kalama Souza,
Aye.
Kalamasuza votes aye. Malia Thames. Oh, she's absent. Okay, I need to make a more. Stephen Trecker.
Aye.
Stephen Trecker votes aye. Jeremy Truskin.
Yes.
Jeremy Truskin votes aye. Evan Weber. Evan Weber votes aye. Gary Weller. Gary Weller votes aye. John White.
Aye.
John White votes aye. Donna Wong. Donna Wong abstains. The motion is adopted. It carries. Thank you. We're going to go on to local agency reports. And I will just make note that after this item in the agenda are the presentations on Kihapai Place and the Kalaheo Hillside by DHHL. So that's coming up right after the local agency reports. Board of Water Supply, usually it's Danny Ornelas. Are you online? Danny? Okay, Danny was online. We'll see if she comes back. Marine Corps Base, Hawaii. Christy Kaluhiva, are you online? Christy Kaluhiva is not online. She's not here in person. Okay. Adventist Health Castle President Chase Alborg. Welcome.
Mahalo to the board, and thank you for having us here again. Just wanted to provide a few updates that the hospital has had over the past 6 months. And first off, let me just say thank you to everyone for participating in the tsunami evacuation last week. We understand what the need is for that community. We do have one ask, though. The hospital is not the appropriate place to evacuate to. While we are on high ground, we desperately need to keep access to the hospital open to our staff and emergency vehicles as much as possible. So we would just ask that you please go to a designated tsunami shelter on that. But since last March when I was here, would like to report on that the hospital has received 2 of the highest awards in the country right now from the Centers of Medicaid and Medicare. We received a 5-star designation, their highest award. And then also from the Leapfrog Group, we received an A rating. We are the only hospital in the state of Hawaii to receive both of those awards, where Adventist Health Castle is providing the top level of care. Other things that in the past that we have brought here to the board is the sale of the Hawaii Loa campus, or also the HPU campus up on the corner. We are currently still underway in that process. We actually plan to have that sale finalized a year from now in July. Next up to something that the board has asked for is our solar panel project update. We are currently in the engineering phase of that. And as of right now, it looks like solar panels will only be located on the hilltop behind the hospital on the old helipad and on top of the roof, and they will not be visible from Kailua Road. If anything changes on that, we'll be more than happy to update you on that. Also, at this point in time, in 2 weeks, we will be undergoing a facility master plan, which takes in 2 different aspects. The first part being a 10-year look at the needs and services that our primary service area will require. That will allow us to right-size services, ensure that we have the right level of care for our community. The second piece is an architectural design, ensuring that we have space for those needs and services within the 4 walls of the hospital and in our outpatient clinics. Next up is, as we reported on last time, we are putting in a new CT scanner to help support our trauma program at the hospital to further enhance care. And we anticipate that project being done in December. And lastly, the board had many questions on our psychiatric patient discharge process. I'm pleased to report that we have been working very closely with both state and county and city officials on how to make sure that we get those patients to the right level of care afterwards. Everyone has been very open and working towards that. And while we do not have a final conclusion on that, we are making progress to try to ensure that we keep the community as safe as possible in that. That concludes my report, and I'm more than happy to take any questions.
Thank you. I see a question from Mr. Steve Trecker.
One of the issues that the board has been dealing with for several years now
has to do with contamination of the waters in Kailua, the bay and the canals and so forth. And we have a subcommittee that's specifically working on that project, trying to figure out ways to clean up the waterways. And I was wondering if Castle would be amenable to providing that committee with statistics on the number of sicknesses or staph infections caused by waterborne illness at the hospital, either on a monthly basis or quarterly or annual. Is that possible?
Yeah, that's something we could look into. We'll be a little bit of data digging through, and finding that, but we could probably come up with helpful information on that for you guys.
Thank you. Thank you. I mean, we'd want to keep the identity of the patients confidential, obviously. Thank you.
Mr. Gary Weller.
Hi, I served on the committee that originally assessed your solar panel. And we discovered that at least that project back then was for you to deliver energy to the grid and get paid for that electricity. Will this, and I personally thought that it would be in the best interest of the hospital to have like Tesla batteries and use that energy for emergency use and for reducing your own electric bill. But for the community to have an emergency backup of power besides, I know you have a generator, but it doesn't do the whole hospital, right? So I thought between the generator and the solar panels and backup, you'd have more energy to serve the community and take care of the patients in the hospital. So my question, I guess, is, are the solar panels going to help the hospital or just provide a revenue stream?
No, it's going to actually help the hospital in that. And actually part of our facility master plan, like I mentioned, emergency planning is going to be a part of that, right? To ensure that we've got the appropriate backup generators so that we can meet not only our required need from a state and county perspective, but also serve longer just in case that is needed as well. And so that's actually something that we'll have concrete data on so that we can plan accordingly.
Thank you.
Did you have a question, John? Go ahead. Hold on, Donna. John, go ahead and ask your question. Then we'll go to Donna and then David Laeha.
Thank you, Chair. The issue is people from around the island getting dropped off and then not getting dropped back off where we got them from. Are you guys going off of this MH1 that HPD follows? To my understanding, Kahimohala primary, secondary is Queens, and the tertiary drop off is Castle, and minors only to Queens. Are we in? Am I tracking?
We have a district map that we follow around that process. Now, if either Queens or us are full from a psychiatric perspective, then we do go back and forth depending on availability. But we do have a very distinct district map that we work with EMS on around that. And so part of your question, I think last time I was here, was ensuring, and actually had a conversation with Governor Green about this to see if we can't get state funding to help assist that. Because as of this point in time, it's very easy to get those patients to the hospital, right? But it's that post-discharge process of making sure they end up back in the right place and ensuring that they're in the right level of care. And that's what we've been working towards on finding funding mechanisms for that.
So Governor is got this in his hands, this issue?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Donna Wong.
Hi. Who are you selling the Hawaii Loa property to?
DLNR.
DLNR.
Yep.
Thank you.
David Laeha.
Yes, thank you. I think we talked a little bit about the big, beautiful bill and its impact on Medicare and Medicaid, and how it would be very impactful to Castle Hospital. I'm wondering if you can address maybe some of the implications of the bill that you're evaluating, and if there's a role that we can play in our community to support you. And firstly, I also want to congratulate you on those awards you mentioned, it's quite stellar, and we want Castle to be in our community as forever, you know. So if you could respond to that.
Absolutely. The One Big Beautiful Bill is obviously something we've been following very closely because of the impacts to Medicare and Medicaid that it provides. Specifically for Hawaii, it's about a $4 billion impact, which while technically smaller against other states, say California, that's looking at a $168 billion impact, it's still very meaningful for us. The good thing for Hawaii is that we have provisions in place that help protect Medicaid. And so while there are certain things in that bill that will be more laborsome for folks to get Medicaid, we feel, at least for the temporary version, we're actually in good shape as compared to other states. But as accordingly, we will have to plan and shift as we see Medicaid dollars change and focus and flow. You know, and I would just say, you know, if you guys remember back to the Affordable Care Act days, when we were thinking as hospitals that this was going to be incredibly devastating to us, it actually did have a positive back into it for facilities. Now, while we don't think that will be the case with the One Big Beautiful Bill, we are just trying to plan accordingly on making sure that we keep our expense structure as tight as possible. That way we're still able to grow with the community.
So you're okay.
For the meantime, yes, that's a short answer.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, and thank you for coming and giving that extensive update. We appreciate it, and we welcome you back. It's important to engage with the community, so thank you for being here.
All right, mahalo.
Okay, next we're going to go to presentations. Now the presentations should be around 10 minutes each. The first one is Kihapai Place Apartment Project Update by Chris Fong from Tradewind Capital. And then just procedurally, I just want to explain what happens. If you have not been to Kailua Neighborhood Board meetings, we usually have the presentation. It's followed by board members asking questions. I have asked board members to stay on topic and to ask clarifying questions or things that may be of concern that either they see or the communities that they're representing. And then after that, we'll go to community questions, concerns, or testimony. So every person who comes up to speak, please introduce yourself by name. You'll be given 3 minutes for your testimony. And being that there's probably many of you who are here for the same issue, if you feel your points have already been addressed by another speaker, it's okay. If you want to reiterate, that's fine, but your presence also speaks. So just in the interest of time, because we have 2 issues tonight, they're hot and button issues, and I expect a lot of people to testify. And, you know, we want to encourage your voices and your participation. So having said that, we're going to go to our presentation. Are we ready with our connection on WebEx?
Yeah. Aloha and good evening, everyone. I do have a presentation. I have a colleague who is able to share his screen. Oh, perfect. Easy. Great. Well, thank you, Neighborhood Board. My name is Chris Fong. I'm a senior investment associate with Tradewind Capital. We are the developers of this project, 734-735 Kihapai Place. Really excited to be here tonight. You know, this is a project we've been working on for a long time now, and really waiting for the right time to come to the community when the project was in the right place to present to you folks. So let's hop into it. Next slide. So we'll just start with some introductions. So, you know, again, our company is Tradewind Capital. So we're a local organization that's headquartered here in Honolulu. And we're part of a family of companies under Tradewind Group. And some of our sister companies include Island Insurance, Atlas Insurance, Pyramid Insurance. And we've been investing in the islands for nearly 100 years through our predecessor companies and sister companies. Our mission statement is that we're a local company that invests to build a better Hawaii with a vision to be a leading force for the economic growth and well-being of Hawaii. And we invest in both local businesses and real estate, but our real estate focus is really in Hawaii investments, including a track record of affordable housing investments and developments. We are partners with Marshall Hung to develop 801 South on South Street on Kapiolani. And we have another project on Pi'ikoi Street, which we're really excited about. And then, of course, this one. And our project goals for this project are really just to provide grossly undersupplied affordable housing for Kailua Town at a site that's zoned for apartment use. Next slide. So just to situate ourselves for anyone that doesn't know the site. So again, the address is 735 Kihapai Place. So it's, on the backside of Kailua Town along Koenui Marsh. It's a small site, only 25,000 square feet, but, on a street that's surrounded by similar types of walk-ups and apartment use and zoned for apartment use. And it was this image that kind of got our organization excited to pursue this project because, when we first started working on it a year ago, it really felt like if there was ever a site that we could successfully build affordable housing in Kailua, it was this site. Next slide. So before I get into our involvement, I kind of want to tell you about the history of the site because there's a long history to it, going through site acquisition from the city and prior public hearings. So there was actually an existing apartment building, a two-story apartment building that already operated on this site, built in 1959, and actually was on place until 2003. It was demoed in 2004. At that time, there was plans to redevelop the site into an apartment complex, but those plans never came to fruition for various reasons. And there was various plans over the years going back from 2004. So it sat vacant until present day. Now in August of 2023, the city and county actually acquired the site really with a vision that it was perfect for affordable housing. Shortly after that acquisition by the city actually came to this neighborhood board on September 7th, 2023 to give a presentation on the acquisition. And, at that point, they presented on their plans to develop the site in a 4-story, 42-unit affordable rental project, and that the plans were to work in a public-private partnership with a developer to develop, operate, and ground lease the site. And then in October 3rd of 2024, so fast forward a little bit, the city came back again to this neighborhood board to update you folks that a developer had been selected for the site, which was us. It wasn't announced that it was us at the time because we were still working on agreements with the city. But I share all that to say, this is not the first time this project has been to this neighborhood board. It's the first time I've been here, of course, and our company's been associated with it. But this project has come before you 2023, 2024, and now again in 2025. Next slide. So now let's go into the process since we've been involved. So going back over a year, in April of 2024, our company, Tradewind Capital, responded to the RFP put out by the city and county to redevelop the site into affordable rentals. In July of 2024, we got notice from the city that we were selected as the preferred developer, subject to working on a development agreement and ground lease with the city. Then in August through December of 2024, we continued to collaborate with the city and county to basically finalize those documents. And on January 8th of 2025, the city hosted a public hearing, actually at this venue at Kailua District Park, representing that we had been selected as the developer. And then January through February of 2025, we went through the city's process in front of city council, basically approving us as the developer for this project. So that's all to say, it's been a very long process, actually just selecting us as a developer. It's just the city solicitation process. And then after we were officially selected or approved as a developer earlier this year, March through August, so to today, has really been focused on project design, planning, and some site testing and surveying. There's another long lead item that's also been something we've been working on for a long time, and I broke that out separately, and it's on the bottom left-hand corner, which is going through the state of Hawaii's cultural review process. And so that's been a very long process for us and one that we've put a lot of focus into. And actually in attendance today is our cultural consultant, Alania Pio, as a representative for the Kailua Descendants Group. And I know he wants to share some more background on the cultural process, because I know there's been questions in the past. But I'll continue with the presentation and we can address that at the end. Next slide. Okay, now let's go into the actual project. So our project includes 42 units of 1 and 2 bedroom units for residents earning up to 60% of the area median income. It'll be 4 stories of 3 stories of residential above ground floor parking. And that's really to respect the A2 zoning 40-foot height limit for the parcel and for the neighborhood. And the density, the setbacks, and all of other design requirements of this project respect the A2 zoning design requirements. So that's a really important point here, is that, you know, this project lives 100% within the building code. And that was really important to us when we actually applied to the RFP, was building something that was suited for the neighborhood and reflected the design standards for the neighborhood. Next slide. So here's a snapshot of the building layout. You know, the site again is small. It's only 25,000 square feet. So there was only so many ways we could really imagine redeveloping it. You know, we wanted to maximize, of course, affordable housing units, but also incorporate 2-bedroom units for families in the district. So that's what our unit mix is. You know, it's a combination of 1 and 2-bedroom units. And it's reserved for residents up to 60% of the area median income, but we will have some units dedicated for residents at the 30% AMI level. So that equates to, you know, a resident that qualifies at earning $73,000 annually or $36,000 annually. Next slide. So this is a snapshot of the ground floor. And so, you know, when we were designing this project, what was a priority for us was to make sure we could incorporate as much parking on site for residents as possible. So currently our plan assumes 53 on-site parking stalls and 1 loading stall, you know, so that's for trash trucks, service vehicles. So all of that is done on site. And again, there's 42 units in the project. So we have more parking than we do units. So there's enough parking for residents and for guests. Next slide. And just to conclude the presentation, just, you know, where are we going from here and what's our timeline? So, you know, after this neighborhood board presentation, through the rest of this year and really through January, we're going to be continuing to focus on building design and submitting for building permits. February of 2026, we actually come up against a big milestone, which is applying for financing for this project. So this project is going to be actually financed with low-income housing tax credits and private activity bonds. It's a very competitive type of financing that's in the market provided by the state of Hawaii. Now, we do think we have a competitive project, so we believe we have a good shot to get financing on our first application to Hawaii, HHFDC, the Hawaii Housing Finance and Development Corporation. But we should figure out if we've won a financing award in the summertime of 2026, so call it from July through August of 2026, at which point we'd go through the process of closing on our financing, hopefully getting a building permit and beginning construction, and conservatively completing construction in the summer of 2026 with lease up right after that. So that concludes the presentations. I'll pause for any questions, but I wanted to, again, ask if Alani could actually come up and share some words on.
Yes, so I think, Alani, if you would like to go ahead and speak, and then I'll ask board members and folks in the audience if they have clarifying questions.
Aloha, my name is Alani Apio, and I am here with Mapuana de Silva. Mapuana and Kihei de Silva are 2 of the lead descendants for Kailua Kau'a Ho'owilo, the descendant group recognized by the state who came together in 2006 and have been working on all burial issues for preservation and protection since that time, and including this project. Got it. They asked me to come as their representative tonight to speak about this project. I have 3 major points. One is the city, in a really respectful move, wrote into the contract, into the RFP papers, that whomever was selected as the developer must work with Kailua Kauaho'oilo to address and resolve any and all burial issues. And Bob Brule, who is the president of Tradewind Capital, is here, and he's been working directly with the descendants since they had the award, even before they even had designs. And we've been working through them and an archaeology company through all of this process. That's point number one. Point number two is there is a cultural imperative that is stated best in a mo'olelo. It says, mai kaula'i vale ina iwi ona kupuna. Do not air the burials and bones of your ancestors in public. We take that deeply. And so we will not be discussing any specific information about anything, found or not, on any site to anyone who does not have a direct kuleana, a direct responsibility to take care and protect. Lastly, Kailua Kauaho'oilo would like this audience and the members of Kailua to know that during this AIS process, no burial site was found or identified. If anybody has any questions on process, I'm happy to answer, but I'm not going to talk at their behest on anything that is or is not found either on this project or any other project.
Mahalo, Alani. Okay, I'm going to go to the board. Kumu Mapuana, did you want to say anything?
Thank you. Thanks, Alani. We support, we worked with Alani, Kihe and I did, to talk about what was appropriate to share this evening. Like Alani said, we have been doing this work since 2006, and we don't advertise it. We don't talk about it outside of the group of us who take care of the kupuna. And I just want everyone in this room to know, and please tell your friends that if you are a cultural descendant in Kailua and you'd like to join Kailua Kauaho'oilo, you can email me at kumumapuana@gmail.com. But please rest assured that all of the burial finds in Kailua, of which there are hundreds, we have been taking care of very well. And no one has to worry about anybody being disrespectful or bones being removed, kupuna being removed unnecessarily. There are certain protocols that we follow, and also want you to know that every kupuna that we have malamad, every situation is different. No two are ever alike or ever will be alike. So there isn't like general information that we can give you because there's so many factors that go into making decisions about kupuna when they are found. So if you're wondering about these kupuna, these burials are 400 and 500 years old, long before any non-Hawaiians were here. And so these are the kupuna that we are all related to, that are our ancestors, and it is our kuleana to be sure we malama them, because we as Hawaiians have a very distinct relationship with our iwi and with the iwi of our kupuna. And so if you have questions about that, I'll be here for a while and you can come and ask. Thank you.
Mahalo. I acknowledge that this is a very sensitive topic. And so thank you for being here and being willing to share and maybe put some of the concerns at ease. Are there any questions on the presentation itself or for Alani on what he spoke of? Mr. John White, and then I will go to Max. We have folks online. Okay.
Thank you, Chair. This question's for you, brother. What is the monthly rent looking like for these units? This affordable housing?
A good question. Actually, well, this. Yeah, 2 points. So maybe I'll start with your rent question first. I actually had it up on the presentation, but it's down. But excuse me while I flip to it. So for a one bedroom, gross rents or total rents, including electricity, utilities, water, would be capped at a 60% AMI at $1,700. For a two bedroom, $2,000 monthly. And for a 30% AMI, it would be half of that at $855 a month for a one bedroom and $1,000 a month for a two bedroom. The other thing I'll note is that, in the city's RFP, they asked for proposals that would go up to 80% of the area median income. Our proposal for our business plan assumes we provide housing for residents that qualify up to the 60% AMI threshold. And that's really a function of it allows us to serve a higher needs class, and also it helps us with our financing.
And that's going to be for all units for the lifelong of this building?
Correct, yeah.
The last affordable housing we had across from Kailua District Park, Kailua Arms, the wool got pulled over our eyes. I don't know anybody that lives in there, affordable housing. So that's your word. Okay, and then second, one more, Chair. When did you guys acquire this property?
So we're actually going to be ground leasing the site. So the city will remain the landowner, and they closed on it, I believe it was August of 2023.
Yeah. This project, the grass has been 13 feet tall for how long? Moving forward, these projects, somebody that come cut the grass. Dudes are hiding in there. Yeah, talk to HPD guys. The guys are hiding. They gotta get in there. So let's try not to do that moving forward. But thank you.
Okay, we're going to go to Steve Trecker.
When this project originally came to the board, I think it was like 10 years ago or 12 years ago, developer, they had architectural drawings and everything. Are you using the same architectural drawings to build this? Or is it all new?
We're not using the same drawings, within the same unit count, but we have our own plans.
We're going to go, Max has a question, then to Donna Wong. Go ahead.
Can you clarify that the percentage of area median income that you've been quoting is for a single individual, and that whether or not it scales with the number of individuals living in that household?
Yeah, good question. It does scale. Yeah. And so those numbers I had up, I think it was $73,000 for a one bedroom. If you had a two bedroom or two person household family or 3-person household family, those numbers would go up.
Donna Wong.
When we reviewed the draft environmental assessment, it said that there was going to be a 500-foot setback from the apartment to the canal. What is that the same distance, or has it changed?
Are you referring to the prior entitlements that were in place?
Pardon?
Are you referring to the prior entitlements for the project, the 500 feet?
No, it was 5 feet.
Oh, 5 feet, that's what I was going to say. I recall seeing 5 feet,
It was
not
5
500
feet.
feet. Yeah, so we would expect a 5-foot setback.
From the canal
Correct, yep,
to the building.
Right.
Is 5 feet.
right.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question, and then I'm going to go to Gary Weller. My question is, this has come up in our community before with affordable housing. Will it be owned by the city in perpetuity? Like, will it be forever owned by the city? Because sometimes there's concerns that it gets sold and then it becomes privatized and then it no longer serves the intent of affordable housing. So are there guarantees in place that this will remain affordable housing?
You know, I can't speak on behalf of the city, but I do know that's the intent of the government getting into this type of development is when it's in the government's hand, whether the city and county or the state of Hawaii, that's how they can ensure it does stay affordable into perpetuity.
Thank you. Gary Weller, and then if there's any board members online, and then we'll go to the audience.
Have you done any soil studies yet?
Well, I'm sorry, I didn't catch that.
Have you done any soil testing, boring in the ground?
Yeah, we have.
And if I remember right, at the last meeting, you discovered water and that the land was filled. Was that correct?
Yeah. So it's, you know, it's loose soil and it does look like a lot of the area was actually man-made from when they created the Kailua Canal back in the 50s.
So in a 4-story building like that, it's going to be a lot of weight. How far down are your pylons going into the ground to support that thing?
Yeah, good question. You know, that's something because we are in the early stages of design. I don't have an exact answer on what that foundation system will be yet, but happy to get back to you when we do get to that point.
Thank you.
David Laeha.
Yes, thank you. And I'm curious if you've done anything with regards to parking or how many stalls are you expecting for the 46 units? And if there's any plans to modify any of the streets to improve access and egress to the property?
Okay, I think I caught both those questions. So it was unit count, I'm sorry, parking count?
Yeah.
Yeah, so right now the plan assumes 53 parking stalls on site for the 42 units, all on site. And then as for, I think the second question was egress. You know, it's a two-way street, but of course, you know, there is parking on one side of it.
Okay, so no changes to the road system.
No changes to the roads anticipated.
Kellyanne Kobayashi.
Hi, yes, thank you for the presentation. I was wondering a couple things. So I'm also concerned about the parking and whether or not this is going to increase parking for the residents in the area. I don't know if you heard earlier, but that there's a lot of parking issues in Kailua, and if we are increasing the number of residents on this street, and there isn't enough parking for them on property, it could result in a problem. So I know you said that there is more stalls than there are units, but I just think that a lot of units are potentially going to have more than one car and then be trying to park their car on the street, which we will then be looking at people trying to put no parking in the streets. And yeah, I just want to know like what can be done to kind of reassure us that there won't be like this big parking problem now on Kihapai Street.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you, I know DPP, when they process permits, they scrutinize developers' plans as much as the community. So, you know, it's not uncommon for DPP to highlight that there needs to be a traffic management plan of some sort or construction management plan, of course, during construction. So it's top of mind for us.
Well, one more important point. I work closely with the developers on many issues. One more important point, this is affordable housing at 30% and 16% AMI. We haven't had that in Kailua in decades. And the beauty of the location of this project is it's a 5-minute walk into Kailua town. You can access the buses, you can access the beaches, everything is accessible by walking or biking. And that is also a big reason that we all need to be moving towards that direction. I live up the road in Kailua. I understand what the challenges of traffic are in this town, but we don't solve our traffic issues by getting more cars. We solve it by building walkable, livable neighborhoods, and this development fits in that plan.
Thank you, Alani. Donna Wong, and then we need to go to the public who's waiting here to give testimony and ask questions. Go ahead, Donna.
Okay, in one of your slides, it said eligible families in the neighborhood. Are you able to narrow down and define that only in Kailua can somebody rent the apartments?
So we can't, because of fair housing laws, prioritize. Now, there are things that we can do to make sure that, say, Kailua community members are first to know, or it's maybe more in the know so that they can apply. And I think that would be the strategy that we would take.
So that's what you're aiming to do.
Right. So an example would be coming to the neighborhood board to say, hey, we want to make sure that you're helping us get it out to your community to apply for this housing.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I'd like to go to the public. Are there any questions on this presentation on Kihapai Place? And please state your name.
Ano ay kaya loud one. Always learning a new mic whenever you come up to these. Ano ay kaya hakako. My name is Kainoa Zama. So I have a few questions for the developer. First, I'll start with the environmental stuff, and then maybe some other questions will kind of pop up. Because one of the things I'm always concerned about is like environmental impacts, right? Like we have quite a few people here who are actively working to restore Aina, restore these places. So like when I hear like a 5-foot sort of spacing between the property and our waterways, like are there ways that you guys are like looking at like mitigating things like non-point source pollution, right? That'll be like my first round.
Sure. So it's interesting. So that 5-foot setback, that was actually came out of the SMA that was done back in 2017 by the prior developer. And so I think that was an attempt to basically protect against, I think, the concerns you're identifying, basically coming up against the marsh. Maybe I'll leave it at that. You can let me know if that answers your question.
Thank you. Yeah, I don't think it did necessarily. Like, is there like plans, like say like there's runoff or anything? Is there any like plans where the development is preventing any sort of pollutants from entering our marsh?
Yeah, so there are design requirements and civil design requirements that the city and county will impose to make sure there's, I think it's called best management practices to ensure that, you don't have runoff into the marsh. There is a retaining wall that's been built back there, right? So it is currently retained.
Thank you for the clarification. And then the following question too kind of ties into our recent experience with the tsunami. In terms of like liability or I have some general concerns about creating more, I guess you could say congestion, because I was actually stuck in that area at the last tsunami. So it was like 2 hours to Kaneohe, 2 hours out of Kailua. It was like, where are you gonna go? And it's 5 o'clock now, and the first wave's supposed to hit at 7. So I guess my other question kind of lies more on a liability concern. So, because that area in particular is a part of that tsunami kind of impact zone. So like, if the city owns it, is it the city that has the liability, or would it be the developer if something were to happen and impact the residents? Like, does this put us in a kind of like vulnerable legal space? Because I think the other part to it too is like, okay, low income in a risk zone, natural hazard, not a good look. But kind of just the question on the liability issue.
So that's a tricky question. I'm not, to be honest, I don't fully know how that liability you're highlighting works. I do know that there's design requirements. There's districts that you have to, or one of the planning rules and regulations that have to protect against how you design buildings in certain areas. So I do know that we'll be building within the DPP building code that hopefully captures all of the concerns and liabilities for the community.
Thank you. And I think that's a bigger question for maybe the neighborhood board could get some answers to from either our elected officials, the developer themselves. Because again, we're like constructing in a known flood zone or like a known kind of environmental natural hazard area. So I think I just have those questions because we had similar issues in Puahala with an affordable housing project that was built in what the community knew as a flood zone, but wasn't really registered with FEMA. But I think this is a different situation where it's kind of known within FEMA as well. So mahalo.
Thank you. Thank you for bringing that to our attention. Are you here to give testimony or you have any questions on the presentation? Okay. Please go ahead.
No question. Just a small testimony.
Oh, could you give your name, please, so
Yeah.
that we can document it in the minutes?
My name is Bibi Hoshide, and Kupuna EV should not be removed. Affordable housing isn't a justification to move EV. A 3-story housing unit would disrupt the waterways of Kawainui Marsh, and we need to do an environmental assessment report before anything else. That's all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your commentary. Yes, Kumuma Puana.
I would like to confirm that no EV kupuna have been removed. Thank you.
Hi, my name is David. I am a resident on Kihapai Place. I just wanted to speak against. I am aware that no EV has been currently removed, but following the practices that I was witnessing of the developer and the cultural practitioner when they were doing a survey for the EV, it made me very unsure of the safety and removal of EV, as they did state their goal is to protect and preserve EV. I'm not too sure as a corporate organization working under the provisional government to serve the provisional government. I'm not too sure how that benefits EV. They can now go to a community space where we now are unaware of who they are with, and if, what circumstances that causes for those EV. We're talking about if we could have an environmental assessment report because the previous one was done quite a while ago. This is, a place where there are native birds, plants, and insects as well. So I think, if we are looking at a 5 feet, I'm basically 5 feet. I mean, I don't think that you could prevent pollution, concrete, heavy metals from leaking into Kawainui Marsh, at my height. And I guess my question for the developer would just be, how do you ensure that the native life there, because there's alaiula, will not be disturbed or have their habitat contaminated by your development? As I did notice that because of the, from what I did hear from your report, that because of the placement on the marsh, you will have to dig, maybe this is a misinformation I heard, but you would have to dig into the marsh, into that land to put in pillars to sustain the structure of the building. So I just wanted to know how that would not be contaminating the waterways. I do understand that you said you're going to be following the requirements of the state, but the requirements of the state doesn't really answer how you as the developer will take up that responsibility.
So I guess a couple of things there. I'll try my best to address them. As for any impacts to, maybe I'll start with the marsh and the wildlife there. I know that is a sensitive topic and one that we were aware of when we applied to the RFP too. And so, I think lighting, coloring, any glare and shining that could disturb wildlife, that's something that we'd get to further on in the plans. Happy to come back and share kind of what those design standards are going to look like to protect the wildlife. But that is something that's top of mind for us. So examples would be, making sure the lighting's not pointing at the marsh, whether it's up lighting or down lighting or minimal lighting. So things like that. As for, environmental contamination, anything drilling into the grounds and the impacts it might have on the neighboring properties. Again, I don't have all the details on our foundation system yet. But I can assure you, there are a lot of laws and regulations to protect basically that, you don't have contamination that seeps into the waterways or in the marsh. And I think we do have a phase 1 on the property, which is just an standard environmental report that cites that the site is clean.
Thank you. I'm going to ask a clarifying question for you, David. Donna, as far as the EIS process is concerned, is there a time period within which an EIS expires? Or it just, once it's determined, it's set? So this has been done and completed. Okay. Any other questions from the audience before we go on to our next presentation? Yes, sir. If you can just state your name, please.
Hi, my name is Cale Meckler, resident of Kailua. So with the development of this building, not only just in the construction of it, but I'm assuming there's going to be landscaping of the regions around it and having to do with things like getting rid of the weeds and keeping everything from getting overgrown by unwanted landscape. Are you going to be using things like Roundup or things that can leach into soil and through the soil into the waterways?
Right. Yeah. Certainly not, nothing that would be poisonous or contaminate the marsh, and the landscaping here, I do think will be minimal because I think a lot of the site will be paved for parking.
It is a fragile ecosystem, so we have those serious concerns. Any final comments? Yes, Alani, you want to make a final comment?
Yeah, I did want to make a clarification because I met David on the site, invited him to join our group, and I gave him all the information that we have to date. And one important point is that in the AIS process, that's the Archaeological Inventory Survey process, the archaeologists are required to take soil samples from various positions within the trenches that they're digging to. So what people may have seen go off the site in bags are soil samples that were then sent to labs both here and in Florida for carbon dating and identification of the taxonomy of, say, if there were bivalve shells found, that they could identify what those shells are, perhaps carbon date them. So just as a clarification, people saw soil or material being removed from the site. It was to go to the lab.
Thank you. Thank you for that. That was necessary because that concern was brought to our attention. Yes, and then we need to move on. Go
Yes, I just have a question regarding the more cultural impact. So mahalo nui. This is a question for the cultural, regarding the iwi kupuna. So my question is just like based on like your guys' collection of like who's a lineal descendant, and I guess part of the question is really informed by like I feel like there's a lot of us who kind of have recently come back to our cultural awareness. So like my curiosity is one like is like the database that, or I don't know if it's a database or like the inventory of the lineal descendants as well as like the iwi kupuna that have been found here. Is that a result of like the Oahu Burial Council, like an inventory they had, or I'm not too sure. I'm sorry if it's not the appropriate question or. Okay.
Yes, I would ask you if that's perhaps not part of this conversation, if you wouldn't mind just having that conversation maybe
Thank you.
outside.
Yeah, just because like as somebody who's always like,
I
okay, I'm used to
understand.
like seeing the list, right, on the public facing. So those of us who see our family names can kind of engage appropriately, but mahalo.
Yes. Okay.
Hello, Chair.
Thank you.
So I'm a mother of 3. I live also, I'm David's neighbor. This is a one-way road. So every single morning, every time we go down the road, another car is coming. So all of us kind of know each other. So one of us will back up and then we'll let the next person go. Pretty much like whoever is deeper gets the right of way, so the congestion, I'm really concerned about that because I know all of us need to get to school and work in the morning on time, and I'm just very concerned about the congestion and the road raging, and Yes, so that's my concern also. It's very quiet and peaceful too, so to bring that kind of anger that people get in the car, that's kind of concerning me. So thank you.
And would you state your name, please?
Alyssa Vonderson.
Alyssa. Thank you, Alyssa. Do you have any comment to say as a developer about that? No? Okay. Yeah, it is of concern. I drove down there as well. I was worried about emergency vehicles being able to get in and out.
To get like just out of the road when that whole tsunami thing, it took like over an hour. So I'm just concerned because I have 3 kids and we have to get to school at a certain time. I have to get to work at a certain time, like everybody. So lots of moms and families live on this road, and every single time we pull in, we're like, oh, someone's coming. Gotta pull back, gotta pull back, gotta pull back. So to add even more vehicles, I just feel like there's gonna get people are already getting angry sometimes. So yeah.
Thank you. Okay,
Chair,
who is online?
Mr. Sakamoto.
Donald, I'm going to have to move on because we have another presentation. There's many people here to attend that presentation. Would you mind are you able to put your question in an email to Chair Hicks?
Yeah, I'll say it's the AD question. I'll send it to Hicks.
Okay.
Hey, Livani, I was also wondering if we should maybe just invite this group to, or at least the presenters to present maybe at PZ&E, because if there's still a lot of people that wanted to ask questions.
Would you be willing to come to a follow-up meeting if necessary? It's our Planning and Zoning Committee. It meets on the third Tuesday of every month over at Kalama.
Yeah, definitely, if necessary.
Okay. Okay, Kellyanne. Thank you for that recommendation. Okay, folks, we're going to move along. Thank you very much to Tradewinds for being here. Thank you, Alani and Kumu Mapuana, for being here as well. The next presentation is DHHL Kalaheo Hillside Update by Department of Hawaiian Homelands. And I understand that Kali Watson and whomever else is here, if you could introduce yourselves.
Aloha, everybody. My name is Elijah Davidson with the Department of Hawaiian Homelands.
Hello, Chair and members of the Kailua Neighborhood Board. My name is Kali Watson. I'm the Director of the Department of Hawaiian Homelands, along with Chairman of the Commission. First of all, I'd like to mahalo to you for allowing me this opportunity to speak with you this evening regarding the proposed transfer of the Kalaheo property to the Department of Hawaiian Homelands for the purpose of developing a residential homestead community for Native Hawaiian beneficiaries. As a chair, I'm representing the program, and I come before you tonight, not only to give you kind of an update, but also with respect for the community and a deep commitment being good neighbors in Kailua if we should proceed with this development. Let's start with the background. This particular site represents a meaningful opportunity to fulfill the mission of the Hawaiian Homes Commission Act, basically to return Native Hawaiians to the land and provide them with the ability to live, thrive, and raise families in a stable home environment. This is not just a housing project. It is a step towards justice and restoration. And I think it's very, very important that I give a little bit of history about this program, because I think a lot of people, they don't really understand the program. So I'd like to take this opportunity to kind of give a short history. You know, when this program was first started over 100 years ago, it was a result of a situation that was plaguing Hawaiians. Basically, back in 1920. It was a disappearing race. At the time of the original contact, Captain Cook in 1778, there were about 680,000 Native Hawaiians. At the time of the passage of the act in 1920, there was roughly 24,000, less than that. So the Hawaiians were being wiped off the face of the earth. Various reasons, they mostly disease, being displaced, inability to assimilate with the transition to Western style. And so as a result of that, Prince Kuio lobbied Washington, D.C., and he asked for Congress to pass this to address the problems that were plaguing his race. Unfortunately, when it was passed in 1920, it was sort of set up to fail. And as a result of that, and that was probably primarily because what it was provided as to assets. One, it was provided very, very poor lands. It was a intentional effort to prevent the homesteading of government lands by identifying and passing this particular act, but at the same time, excluding all the good lands, the ranch lands, the pastoral lands, the sugarcane plantation lands. And so as a result of that, we had lands. I mean, if you go to Waimanalo and you look up at the cliffs, that's Hawaiian homelands, would you believe? If you go to the Big Island and you can look at the lava fields, that's Hawaiian homelands. Even the goats still want to live there. So, it was a reflection over the last 100 years of the situation. No money, poor lands, and as a result of that, only about 100 units were developed for its homesteading program. Just for clarification, under the program, the idea was to rehabilitate Native Hawaiians and put them back on the land. But those kind of lands are kind of hard. And so as a result of the lack of money and poor, difficult lands to improve, only a total, we have about a little over 10,000 over a 100-year period. And so what happened was when we became a state, as part of the conditions, there was the Admissions Act or a compact that was made with the federal government, which required the state, in order to gain statehood, to take over that responsibility. And if you look at our state constitution, the Hawaiian Homes Commission Act is part of our state constitution. The state is obligated to carry out the mandate to rehabilitate our Native Hawaiian beneficiaries. Today, we have over 29,000 on our wait list. So obviously, there's still a big need. The Native Hawaiians are still plagued the same problems, whether it be health, lack of housing, overcrowded housing, heavy incarceration, on and on. The same problems, even back from 1920, plagued the Native Hawaiians. So what we need to do is not only look at the 29,000 we have on the waiting list, but take steps to correct this injustice, restore the Native Hawaiians to their rightful place as the recipients of this beautiful aina that they belong to as well as own. So a couple of years ago, the legislature, they passed Act 279, which provided $600 million. So with that, the governor asked me to come back with my development background. So we put together about 28 projects that we're going to be doing across the state. And so we also intend to generate maybe about 6,000 new homesteads. I would say within that process, we're starting to innovate and take other steps towards addressing the problems that the Hawaiians are plagued with. So we're starting to do a high rise at the Bolodrome, 23-story site that will provide condos as well as townhouses. We're doing multi-units on the Kauai in Kapa'a, and we're also doing a lot of other things regarding acquiring new lands. And I'm here tonight to mention and talk about some new lands in Kalaheo, in Kailua, a place where Hawaiians belong. These are their ancestral lands. So we're trying to correct an injustice. But I think it's also important, we also understand that any development, particularly in a well-established community like Kailua, must take into account the realities of the land and the concerns of the current residents. We take this seriously, and we want the analysis to be done properly and with due care. Next. Just a little bit of information about this particular parcel. As you can see, it's about 10 acres. It's in a great location in Kailua. I would note that the primary zoning is R7.5, which allows residential about 7,500 square feet. There's a very small sliver of preservation land that we don't intend to touch. We intend to have these development, if we decide to proceed with it after doing our due diligence, to be consistent with the community. So it's not like we're going to do a high-rise or, townhouses or anything. It will fit into the existing community. Next slide. And one of the things we got to do is we got to do our due diligence. So we're hiring various experts to take a look at the soil, to take a look at the utilities, to take a look at all the different things that are needed for us to do an analysis as to whether it's worth our getting involved in the acquisition of this particular parcel to move forward. Next. We've retained various experts that can take a look at the specifics regarding this particular location. And, I'd have to emphasize, we're at a very, very preliminary stage. We haven't decided to proceed yet because we need to do our due diligence. And so in this very early stage, our due diligence involves an evaluation of the property. The soil samples have been collected. However, our geotech consultant has indicated that it will be about another 8 weeks to complete the testing and evaluation. Once that is done, the civil engineer can begin working on the preliminary engineering report, which may include a conceptual site plan based on the recommendations of the geotech consultant, as well as an evaluation of the available utilities, which involve water, sewer, and telecommunication, as well as an evaluation as to the site requirements for drainage and storm water control. The preliminary engineering report is expected to take about 8 to 12 weeks once the soil studies is complete. Next. So as you can see in this little chart here, it's all about preliminary steps. We're in the purple, we're going to the green, and once we've done an assessment regarding the soil, then we'll make a yay or nay, and then let the county know as to whether we're going to proceed. If we do proceed, then we're going to negotiate, as I mentioned, with the sitting county regarding the terms and conditions, and then we would proceed and start to invest money on the other portions of this analysis that we'd like to do before we decide to actually start to build houses. This information will allow us to figure out how many houses we're going to build, what the capacity is, whether or not there's sufficient capacity. But more importantly, we need to be aware of the existing residents. How will this development impact them? We need to preserve not only be concerned about the traffic, the impact on the surrounding areas where, we're well aware that there's some problems with that. There will be soil. Houses are slipping. Obviously, we don't want to do anything that would make that worse. So we will design this particular project, and I guarantee you that it will be done in a way that does not adversely impact the neighbors. But more importantly, we're also going to design it so that it's a house that our beneficiaries can live in and not suffer some of the consequences that are happening with adjoining neighbors. That's very, very important. I come from a background in litigation, used to be an attorney with Attorney General's office. In construction litigation, you don't want to get involved in that. But more importantly, we want to build houses that not only fit the community, but more importantly, serve the needs of our beneficiary. where they can have a protected place, where they can raise their family, where they can thrive, where the kupuna can feel safe, where the children can, have the things that they want, a safe place to study, an opportunity also further themselves. This is a kuleana we take seriously. We are not outsiders. Many of our future homesteaders have deep roots in Windward, Oahu, and are eager to return home. You're going to hear that tonight. And we are fully committed to developing a project that reflects the values and needs of this community. We look forward to partnering with you, the city, and the Kailua residents to build something that uplifts Native Hawaiian families while respecting and preserving the special character of this place. Mahalo nui loa for your time and consideration.
So I just before we open it up to board member questions and then audience participation, I just wanted to do a quick show of hands. How many of you were here just to get the update, to find out where we are in the process? Okay. And how many of you are here to talk about concerns over the timeline and the results from soil sampling and your concerns with stormwater runoff and slippage and all of that? Okay, so this is a unique opportunity because we have different perspectives in the room, and I want to honor that. So I would like to ask board members, do you have any questions from the presentation? John, you've spoken a lot tonight. Let's see if there's anyone else who hasn't spoken. It's rare for him to be here in person because he's often down at the docks, so that's good that he's here. Anyone? Max, you have a question? Okay, go ahead.
Thank you for that. Very informative, very insightful presentation. I'm curious if you could just help us understand when you began talking with the city about opportunities, new sites, new lands to look at. What alternatives did you look at, and how did you arrive at this particular site?
I'm sorry, you asked me, how did I arrive at this position?
How did DHHL and the city arrive at this particular site?
Yeah.
And what alternatives, if any, did you look at in Kailua, for instance, or elsewhere?
Yeah, I think I'd have to compliment the city council with thinking about our program. When it's been a very exceptional move on the part of a city council to actually think about transferring lands to the department. I think it is starting to happen. And not only that, we do have some of the outer island city councils also looking to transfer lands to us as well as fund part of our infrastructure. Most of the money that we are using, the 600 million, is going to infrastructure. But unfortunately, we have to spend that money, but on lands that are very poorly located. So part of Act 279 allowed us to acquire new lands. So we've also done that. We've gotten some lands on Kauai. We're going to, close to Lake Hui, better location. We're going to be doing about 1,100 residential and subsistence ag lots. We're acquiring lands on this island, which has the biggest demand. We have over 11,000 people on a wait list. We're working with KS to acquire some lands in Hawaii Kai, right next to the marina. So, one of the things is, I don't think the Hawaiians should be out all in these isolated areas way on the leeward coast. Let's put them on the marinas. Let's put them in Kailua, overlooking, the bay and in a lot better areas. So that's why we're doing at the Bolodrome. We're doing a 23-story high-rise. It's costing us $155 million, and it overlooks Diamond Head. I mean, that's a good location. We're looking at maybe Kakako working with oil and doing some stuff there. That remains to be seen. But, this program has changed. And I think there's an acknowledgement, especially at the city council, as well as in the community, as well as private developers and the counties. And, even with state government, we're looking at acquiring new lands from DLNR. I mean, when we got shortchanged when this act was passed, it was a travesty. It was injustice. Where all the good lands were kept by the sugar plantation and the ranches. So times have changed where we're starting, and we have a bill in the legislature, where we're going after that land. But I gotta say, this city council, very awesome. It's the first one that has thought about transferring lands as part of the obligation of the state constitution. So I gotta really commend Aina. He's thinking outside the box, doing some good stuff. Thank you, Esther.
Okay, John White.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for being here. Appreciate it. I grew up Iliana Street. My really good friend's mom is right there, Auntie. I'm in support of the project. No way in hell I'm gonna get a house. I don't qualify, but I'm stoked if it goes through. My one and only question: is there any evidence from past studies or current studies that says this is not possible because of the soil?
That's one of the things we need to take a look at, whether it is possible. There is adobe soil, how deep it goes, how we'd have to put the infrastructure in. Obviously, if we're going to do, a pier type situation, we have to dig all the way down and drill all the way down to the bedrock. Now, how far that is remains to be seen. That's what the study is about. Or if there's alternative ways, we can do extensive excavation and refill with engineered fill material. So, but I assure you, whatever route we're going to go is going to be solid. It's going to be safe, something that will be durable and last forever.
But to the best of your knowledge, there's nothing information-wise.
We're still looking at it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Donna Wong, and then we're going to go to Kellyanne and David Laeha online.
Yes, hi, thank you for being here. My question is DHHL going to self-permit?
Self-permit? We're actually looking at that in a sense that, right across the state with the different counties, unfortunately, their DPP or permitting departments are understaffed. They're very, very slow, and it's resulted in delays in some of our projects. And so we're looking at self-permitting to a certain extent. But regarding the environmental portion, no, we're going to comply with all of that. Make sure that there's no danger to the environmental portion to it. But, when you're talking about vertical construction, I mean, that's pretty straightforward. Why do we have to wait 2 years for, a building permit or start a grubbing if the area's been used previously for sugar plantation or whatever? So we're trying to approach that. We do have the authority, the legal authority to self-permit, but we're doing it in a very cautious way. We did pick up Tim Hugh, he used to be the head of DPP. And so he's put together some suggestions. We've been meeting with the different county DPPs and trying to look at ways where we can expedite the process. Third-party inspections are one way. Using engineers, we can also move it along because the unfortunate department for the counties and permitting and inspections are pretty slow. We got people dying on our wait list, ma'am. You know what I mean? So we don't have time to wait, 2 years. Every week we got people dying, and that's what you got the Kailua case. I mean, the state acknowledged their error and mishandling of the trust. So they gave $368 million to the beneficiaries on the program. But sadly, 1/3 of those beneficiaries have already passed away. So that tells you something. We're in a critical situation here. So we're trying to move forward on this quickly.
Okay. Mr. Watson, I just want to ask a clarifying question. Would it be possible to have the company Geolabs that's doing the soil sampling, could we arrange for them to give a presentation on the results of their findings?
Definitely.
And also if they can inform the public, especially the residents, as a community member, we don't like leaving residents in the dark. So every opportunity to engage and be transparent with them is of utmost importance. So if they could get the results of the soil sampling and then,
Sure.
what is coming next? Because, they've suffered a lot and they're concerned not just about their homes, but about the potential for future homes, even though you're saying that they would be constructed in a way that would be strong and steady. There's just numerous concerns over that soil and that clay and how deep you're going to have to go and if it's going to destabilize everything. So those are some of the things that have come up at other meetings. I know this is your first time to us this evening. I would like to go on to Kellyanne Kobayashi. You were next, and you'll be followed by David Laiha and then Jeremy.
Hi, yeah, Leivani, you pretty much said what I wanted to say, so I can just pass and say that we hope that we can hear more like specifics about what Geolabs is doing, because that's what the community has been really concerned about. They see stuff happening and they don't know what's happening, when is it going to be done, is it going to leave barren land and cause mud to come into their yards, like that we've been seeing pictures and hearing from residents. And so really I think we want to hear more specifically from Geolabs if that's possible.
Sure, we'll make all of that available. We want to be transparent, and that is going to be public information because the commission, independent of the city, has to make a decision as to whether we proceed with this. And they got to, their trust responsibility and fiduciary duty requires that they make, a business as well as a decision that makes sense for our beneficiaries. Obviously, if it's all adobe soil and, the houses are going to start slipping and cracking and foundation, we're not going to move forward.
Okay.
Unless we can fix that and do it in a way that prevents that.
We're going to go to David next, followed by Jeremy. And then I want to give an opportunity for folks who've been waiting for a couple hours. If you want to come up and ask questions or speak, you'll be welcome. Go ahead, David.
Yes, thank you, Kali. My primary concern is kind of questioning the city giving away a $10 million asset and continues to raise my property taxes and pay exorbitant raises to city representatives. And as a taxpayer, I don't like to see that the city is giving these assets away. On the flip side, I'm a native Hawaiian. I definitely understand the history and the goals of DHHL, and I do have to question current use of the lands that are under DHHL, particularly the agricultural lands that are used in Waimanalo without any Native Hawaiian preference being given to any of the leases for agriculture in the Waimanalo area in particular. And so there's so many questions that I have as to how DHHL is using its existing land to provide the housing, and given the $600 million and all the funding that it receives, it would seem it would be appropriate for DHHL to pay the city for the fair market value of the land if that's what makes sense. But it seems a stretch that the city council would be trying to solve the problems of DHHL by giving away city assets and not even asking the neighborhood board what alternative uses there might be for that property. But that's not the main question. I guess my main question, I've heard of complaints about RM Towel doing a lot more than survey work, that there's some significant grading work that's been done over there. I'm worried that the grading is being done illegally, and so have the residents expressed a lot of the concerns that way. So if you could just respond to the grading without a permit. Yes.
Well, let me first respond to your comment regarding them giving us the land. All they're doing is changing the control over government lands. The county lands are still government lands, just like DLNR, just like the different counties throughout the state. These government or crown or lands that were originally part of under the monarchy was taken. I don't necessarily want to get into that, but the thing is, if you're thinking that it's a giveaway, I'd have to disagree with that. To me, it's a commitment, and it's fulfilling part of the compact in which the government, and I view the state as well as the county as part of this government, has committed to helping Native Hawaiians in their effort to become rehabilitated and get into the area of housing. So I don't view that as a giveaway. That's more a commitment because, that is without a doubt something that I think can be not only authorized and reviewed by legal counsel, and without a doubt, I believe would be found appropriate that the county is making an effort. Similarly, in the other counties, they're starting to make monies available to us for the infrastructure. Some of the GET set-asides for Maui County, 30% of it, they're designated to the department for the construction of our infrastructure. Is that a giveaway? I don't think so. Neither is the land. I think it's just a recognition that the different governments, whether it's county, state, or municipal, or whatever, are obligated, including the federal government, with helping Native Hawaiians in their journey in trying to get rehabilitated, become contributing members of society. So I don't view the county and what they're doing as doing anything wrong. I think it's a long time coming, and we really appreciate that effort.
Would you? I would just like you, if you could just respond to the grading question. So after David spoke, he asked the actual question about grading. Would you just respond to that? And then one more neighborhood board member, and then let's open it up.
Yeah, on the grading, we're not going to do any grading until we've actually completed the analysis of everything and whether we should proceed. I mean, that's one minor step in the construction process. We're way far away from even thinking about a grading permit. We're not grading anything until we're sure that this is a project that not only is safe, doesn't adversely impact the neighbors, we can fund it, and then the process. I mean, we also got to do the environmental assessment. That comes way before grading and any of that being done.
Thank you. Jeremy.
Hey, thanks, Holly. I'm new to the board here, so it's interesting to hear kind of like your guys' side of the story. Couple questions and comments. How many Hawaiian Homestead locations are currently in Kailua? Second question is regarding the topography of the landscape. So, when I heard about this, I kind of did a little map study and I walked the property. And it seems like something used to be there before. And it was interesting to hear that it used to be a school. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I think they were looking at originally doing a school over there. And for whatever reason, that was abandoned. I think there was a developer that was going to do a lot more density in the development. I don't know for whatever reason that was abandoned. But as I mentioned, we're going to do a development that fits. It's an infill project. We're going to put up houses that are consistent with the surrounding neighborhood. And we're excited about that. But again, we're at the very beginning of the process in doing our due diligence. We find that it's overly too expensive to develop. We might have to pass, which we've done on other projects.
Yeah, my understanding is you guys are going to meet current zoning of Kalaio Hillside, which is R7.5, right? So it'll have the same density as.
We're going to stay with the current zoning, 7.5.
Okay. Regarding the grading and the geotechnical engineering, I assume you guys are going to do the soil samples, and then like people build buildings on the side of mountains nowadays.
Sure.
So it's just a question of is it economically feasible to put micropilings in just to ensure that you guys will have like a sustainable and secure foundation for the next 100 years or however long the leases are.
Sure.
And then the last is just a comment, for my personal view, like if you guys have the authority to do self-permitting, I would like to see that, and hopefully it's a forcing function for the DPP to kind of get their act together and be able to like process permits a little faster. So, if you guys are able to do that and you guys can have third-party inspections and built to current industry standards, I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, I'm actually having a meeting with the director of the DPP on Monday to talk about those various things that we're talking about tonight. I don't like the self-permitting. I'll only do it if it's really necessary. It requires us, if we start doing that, we have to bring on a whole bunch of staff. We have to outsource the inspections. So it gets somewhat convoluted and, but if we got to do it, we're going to do it.
Yeah, thank you for your time.
Sure.
Okay, mahalo board members. Gary, I'm gonna go to our audience who have been waiting and then maybe we'll volley back to you, okay? Is that okay? Okay. If you could introduce yourself, please.
I don't know if you guys know who I am, but my name is Cleopatra Mufasi Osongasami Bapu King. I am the landowner and I'm the queen of spades and I'm the queen of the world. So the fact is Hawaiians haven't been poor, they've been poorly treated. Hawaiians have actually wrote the documents in the different tribes as documents and legal papers and fundings that they have their own. Because the government in 1958 stole the people, it's actually been required by a certain rating that the documents and everything, the land is used to be turned back, not just the land, but the money's supposed to be back to the people. So the land is supposed to be back to originally how it's supposed to be, with the tribes and how it's the chiefs and the shamans and stuff like that. That's how the land is originally supposed to be. I've been falsely in prison, tortured, cut my hands by police and all that stuff because of the land, because I'm the chief of police of God. Because of who I am and what I stand for, I stand to fight for the people, been serving the people, been standing by them. I see how poor people get treated, and I see how my people get treated. They've been ripped out of their homes, been falsely imprisoned, and been enslaved in ocean, sea, and the law. So my people have been enslaved, and they laugh at my people. Oh yeah, we still got the land. So when people ask questions, they don't ask the right type of question. You guys don't ask the right type of question. Is it fun? No, because I never signed nothing. You follow law. It's up there and authorize anything from the landowner. And then the fact is, I'm related to Donald Trump and Joe Biden, and all these individuals. You didn't go by me, go by me. And the fact is, I actually talked to the governor and the state commissioner. And the fact is, I was in the hospital, in the Hawaiian State Hospital, because my family's been abused. Hawaiians been wrongfully, and then the fact is, they're being stripped out of their house. Hawaiians being stripped out of their house. And then the fact is,
Thank you, thank you. I just want to say thank you for your commentary. I hear you, and thank you for expressing it.
But the fact is,
So, yeah, so I'm gonna redirect, I'm sorry, I need to redirect the conversation to focus specifically on this agenda item. But thank you very much for your perspective. Is there anyone else who would like to speak or ask questions while we have our guest presenter here? Mr. Kali Watson. Yes, you want to respond?
I wanted to respond to that, but the grading issue.
Yes.
I'd like to clarify that.
Aloha. Aloha, my name is David Hanoi. I'm with Arm Tower Corporation. And there's a question before from the person online about a grading violation about the excess grading. So there's just for clarification, yeah. As far as Arm Tower, like we didn't do any kind of grading or anything. It was part of the GeoLab when they were clearing the trail area to provide access. They cleared out a little bit extra, so the department, DPP, put them on notice that they cleared excessively. So they were required to put in the environmental maps and additional BMPs to make sure they control any kind of, if there's any runoff and stuff like that that could be caught. So there's no grading violation. There's just excessive clearing, and DPP did put them on notice, did put GeoLab on notice. And GeoLab went in and had their contractor install these extra environmental mats and stuff.
So I think part of the issue is that it was not done necessarily preemptively. So some of it happened after the fact, and what the community came to us and said, we're really concerned if there is a big rain, if there's a big rain event and all of the soil washes down and then it goes into that Oniava Canal. So after that, they started putting up the socks and everything. So, you know, from our perspective, just to kind of keep things intact and also to mitigate pollution in our waterways, they want to make sure that those BMPs are going to be done and that they are enforced and checked, because often they go unchecked. So that was like one of the concerns I know that came out of the community. So yes, preemptively, not like, reacting afterwards, after the
Lavani,
fact.
a quick question. What is
Yeah.
the maximum you can grow without requiring a permit? Is there a maximum you can do without requiring a permit on Oahu?
There's an exception under the code for geotechnical work and clearing the waste. And typically it's just to provide access for the vehicles, the testing vehicles. I think if I recall speaking with DPP after, that there are some areas that were cleared up to 22 feet, which is much too wide. I mean, 12 feet is good enough. 22 feet is a little wide. So DPP required the contractor that GeoLabs hired to do the clearing, just cleared too much land going up there. So they had to put in the environmental maps and then more BMPs in place. But they just, so there was no violation. DPP said there's no violation, but they did put them on notice. They issued what's called a notice of non-compliance.
Thank you. Other comments or questions from our audience? Yes, please come to the microphone if you have a comment or a question and introduce yourself.
Aloha. My name is Pat Caldwell. I have two concerns. Number one concern is on behalf of the Hawaiian homelands. I'm 100% for your activities. The injustices were wrong and Hawaiians need respect. And but my question with the Hawaiian homelands is, if you have a chunk of resources and you mentioned 29,000 people waiting, why would you take such a complex area that's going to need so much work to make it safe for those residents and the residents below? Why would you want to spend that much money when you could go to less problematic areas? So that's number one concern. My second concern is, as a resident right below, I'm in the 600 block of Iliaina, is I know when one of my neighbors did a rebuild on his house, he tore down his house, and then before they rebuilt another house, they got these pounders to pound the soil, and they did it for like 2 weeks, and our house was just shaking and rocking. And if you go up to that 10-acre parcel, well, that 10-acre parcel is full of swooping land going up and down. In order for them to make a street that looks like Iliaina into a flat street with homes right here, they're going to have to go in there with some massive equipment and do some massive pushing. And then once they push all that dirt, it's that kokokahi soil that's, likes to slip. It's clay, it expands. When it gets wet, it shrinks. When it gets dry, and it does a lot of that. In my backyard, I see it. They're going to have to do some major pounding to get that 10 acres into a flat lot that can be put into a street and for a stable home. So you're talking, that's a huge amount of money. Why would you want to take your wonderful Hawaii homelands money with 29,000 people waiting to get housed when you could take all that money and build on a non-problematic location? That's just kind of mind-boggling. And secondly, is a concern of, as a resident, other than the pounding that's going to cause shaking and possibly damage to our concrete foundations. We're all on concrete slabs along Iliaina Street. So we get all that expansion and shrinking, and there's all sorts of cracks. So all that pounding is not going to help. And then secondly, here's my biggest concern. I'm a meteorologist, 35-year career in meteorology, and I've lived in that house since 1991. And I've seen some mega rain events. And the typical thing that happens is you get one cone of storm after another. You'll get like 15 days in a row, and the soil gets so moist. And then you get a flash flood, and it comes roaring down that hill. And you've seen what in Hilo, what water does to a
Sir,
parking meter.
your 3 minutes.
I mean, moving water is a very scary.
I have to ask you to conclude. Your 3 minutes is up, but we
Okay, I'm
got the
sorry, I
point.
talked too much. But
Thank
anyhow,
you.
so concern for the I want to see a draft of a flood plan. How are they going to
Thank you.
take all that water and then get it safely down the hill
We
without
need to move on.
destroying homes?
Thank
Chair.
you.
Thank you.
Chair. Chair
Yes,
Lipton,
who is calling?
let me clarify that real quick, brother. 15 years I'd operated engineers, heavy equipment. Of a brother right here in the red shirt, currently operating engineer. Every house on this rock was built that way. You take out the soft, you put in non-expansive. Yeah, you gotta pound it, it's gonna suck. But guys in Kapolei, they're next to Gentry, they're next to the Hawaiian homes that just got built. You gotta pound it, you gotta get compaction. But every single house on this state was built that way. Except for maybe in Kapoho, they put it on the rock, but.
Thank you, John. Thank you. Yes.
Hello, everyone. My nui kauhani nui ha mai kaola. My name is Corbett Kamoaiki o Kalani Kalama. My family traces their time in Hawaii back 64 generations. I can acknowledge and appreciate the concerns of the community. But prior to those homes being built, the topography that's talked about, if you close your eyes and look at old Hawaii was a bunch of hills and valleys. So where Kalaheo School stands now and where your home stand now, it was once a lush area of this area from Kawainui to Kailipulu was an area of abundance where families lived. Right now, when I go through, you had the Mahoi family, the Kamalamalama family, right? You had a whole number of Hawaiian families that occupied those properties that were there, that were displaced through different things. And I'm not here to say that home ownership that you have, I honor it. But what I will say is my background is in finance and in building. I financed all of our hospitals, the castle up here. I'm a castle director. I've run the Harrington at Weinberg Foundation. I've been a Kamehameha trustee. I work for First Hawaiian Bank. What I've often told Kali, and I've been in this battle now, my parents received a letter from the Department of Hawaiian Homelands. 13 were in our family. We lived in a one-bedroom house on Kailua Beach. All the homes on Kailua Beach where I lived were all condemned, turned into a park. And our families, many of them were displaced from Kailua, never to come back. And so when I saw the opportunity for Kalaheo, that opportunity, the other part that's missing from the discussion is developments like these take place all over, where you go in where infrastructure is already there, and then you go ahead and hopefully they've built enough capacity to add to it. That's what we're seeing here. The care and the concern of the soil, that's right up front with everyone. The level of sophistication, I've always said, if we were to bring the level of sophistication to addressing the Hawaiian issues, this would not be an issue. The other part, under the Organic Act, as Kali was talking about, there are 5 purposes. One of those 5 purposes was the betterment of Native Hawaiians. And so what we're saying is, give us an opportunity to do the due diligence, to go and look at it. We have many families up there. We grew up with them. We're there. We care. We love the community as much as you do. That's all we're saying. Give us the opportunity to move and to use our property and to not question the manner in which we leverage our resources. We're a sophisticated entity. So thanks for your support.
Mahalo.
Aloha, ahi ahi, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the Neighborhood Board and the community. O Stacy Kelohalani for Ko'uinoa. I am the Chief Executive Officer of the Office of Hawaiian Affairs, and I am a resident of Kailua. Mahalo for the opportunity to share OHA's support for the Department of Hawaiian Homeland's efforts to develop the former Kalaheo Hillside site and housing options for our Native Hawaiian beneficiaries in the Windward community. OHA stands behind DHHL's efforts to develop this site for residential use. This project marks an important step towards addressing the needs for affordable housing in Kailua and allowing Native Hawaiian families to remain in this community. Developing this land for residential use is also in line with OHA's mission to improve the conditions of Native Hawaiians and to ensure their equitable access to housing. Consistent with prior comments that we submitted to the County Council on the original transfer of this property, OHA also supports improvements designed to address drainage and other issues, which DHHL has already indicated that they are going to have ongoing due diligence efforts. Successful housing projects like this take time and careful planning, and OHA supports allowing DHHL the time and the space to complete its planning and outreach initiatives in order to ensure the success of this development and permanence for Kanaka Oiwi in our homeland. Mahalo.
Mahalo.
Aloha.
Aloha.
There is no more important social issue in Hawaii than getting the Native Hawaiians back on their lands under the Homestead Act. Happily, the Hawaiian part of my family, or
Judy, can you speak more into the microphone? I can hear you.
the Hawaiian part, is that better? Hawaiian part of my family were awarded their tract on Molokai just a few years ago after a very long and double generational wait. It was a very happy day for them. When the city made public the 10-acre lot offered to DHHL for homesteads on Kalaheo Hillside, the present residents felt it was important to share some factual information about the area to both the city and DHHL. The papers were a 1952 soil study that was done by the U.S. Department of Agriculture. This scientific study indicated that the Kalaheo Hillside area was unstable soil because of clay and that it should not be built on. However, 5 years later, a mainland contractor was allowed to put those 500 houses up there. The second papers were a property damage surveys, 2 homes due to the unstable soil, and I have copies of both of these here. The residents collectively, over the years, have spent hundreds of thousands of dollars to reconstruct their homes, including fallen home walls, retaining walls, and cracked slabs due to the soil. I think it should be very obvious that no more construction should be done up here. Disturbing the soil above the present houses will add to the damage, and future homes will not be safe either, which is not fair to the Hawaiians. Thank you.
If you could introduce yourself before you speak. Yeah.
Hi, halo, aloha. Oa o Noella, Napoleon Ko'uinoa, and I too am a Kailua family, my whole life for a few generations. And I'm really proud of our Kailua people. We all kako, all of everybody here, all of everybody there. In Kailua, I feel so proud because no matter our race, no matter our culture, we tend to get along. We tend to see things through a common lens as Kailua people, right? Yeah. So I get it. My heart is in Kailua, 100%. And my heart is with my people, 1,000,000%. That's not a racial divide. That's just because we've been at this for way, way too long. We're educating, we're educating, we're educating, we're educating, educating. So while some of this might be new to some people, it's getting old. Super old. So to see Mr. Watson here stand up, while I appreciate it, it's hard to believe that we're still here. Talking about Kuhio, talking about Hawaiian Homesland, talking about all this. Okay, we're doing it. You know what? Here we are. I just hope that we can come together because I too am concerned about soil erosion, kawainui. I'm concerned about all of it. I'm a Kailua girl through and through. I'm concerned about the ocean. That's a Kailua thing. That's just how we are. Yeah, I get it. And I just want, though, to be done with, I trust our leaders. I trust our leaders. We're smart people. We're everywhere. We're educated, smart. That goes without saying. And I'm really, really tired of people questioning us and questioning us and questioning us.
It is exhausting. Okay? We are here not to take away from, not to take free land. And that was a complete and utter travesty, what that guy said. You're not giving Hawaiians land. Hello, you're giving it, city is not giving us anything. Okay? It's not a freebie. The land is coming back to us. Back to us. That is our right. And I know of what I speak because my own ohana, we lost our land to adverse possession, ironically on the island of Maui, to adverse possession to Maui land and pine. Ironically, it's because my kupuna did not develop the land. So they took the land away. So I know that everybody's concerned, as I am, about environmental impacts, of course. And of course, I trust my leaders. I trust my leaders. I trust my people. So let's all please try to move on. I'm personally tired of educating the whole wide world about why we're supposed to live, okay? And last but not least, I just want to say, a lot of people that are grumbling about my property, this, that, and the other thing. Yeah, you get one property for live in. You get one house. All the people already get houses. We're talking about a people, a race of people who number one house. That's no joke. So we're just trying to, for the few people that are left, could we just have some housing, a roof over our head? And not only that, here in Kailua, because this is where we belong. I am tired of seeing our people kicked to the hinterlands. Okay?
Thank
Because
you.
one day, when ocean starts coming over the Aina, yeah, overtaking the ocean, guess where everybody's gonna go? Hawaiians is in Hawaiian homelands. I don't want to see the day when all the people who get prime real estate living on the ocean front, like hike up to the mountains and take our lands up there.
I'm gonna have to ask you if you can.
So that's it.
Yeah,
That's
thank
all.
you. I'm so sorry. This is a tough job, but I just want to do a quick time check. It's 9:30 almost, and we're supposed to be out of here at 9:50, and we still have board business. So I would like to get to the end of line. If you could make it concise and not use the full 3 minutes, that would help us out a little bit. But I do want to give people the opportunity to talk. So go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Mr. Waters. Appreciate your time. I'm a Kalaheo Hillside resident for over 23 years. Obviously, not as long as some of you folks who have been in the area for a long time. That's my point of stepping up this evening is not to denigrate, say anything about Hawaiian homelands. It is a noble, worthwhile, and must be done. So let me say that up front and here. Sir, what I have the question is when Geolabs came on that property, and we've asked repeatedly, Ms. Kiana understands how many times our neighborhood Hui is asked about what is going on the hillside. We get dribs, we get drabs. We keep asking. We've asked DPP and DFM multiple times for more information concerning the soils and what's going on with at least 2 input, output storm drains that appear to have been destroyed by Geolabs grubbing and grading. And I'm sorry, sir, I disagree with you. That's what they did. I'm happy to show you a picture on it. We do not disagree with anything that's trying to be built on the hill. That's not the point. That is not the point at all. What we're concerned about is my neighbors here. If that mud starts coming, there's 2 hurricanes on their way right now, supposedly. If one of them hits, the rains come down. We've seen it. We know what it will do. The water will go where the water is going to go. And if we destroy or have destroyed the storm water runoff that gets down into the city, county's infrastructure, so it's going into these people's backyards. That's not what I want. That's not what I want to see. And when we move that volume of earth, what's going to happen to everything that's behind it upslope on Kalaheo Hillside? That's our concern. We just asked for transparency. Please come talk to us. We'd love to hear what you're saying. This is the first opportunity we've had to you since April. And the conversation was kind of one way, to be honest with you. But that's all we're looking for. It's transparency. We'd like the city, Ms. Kiana. We would greatly appreciate DPP and DFM's
Thank you.
response to our concerns on that. And I'll leave it at that. Thank you for your time this evening.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Keanu Kalani Hukihe Onomokupuna. I'm a third generation Kailua resident. My mother recently passed away on the list, and it was a 20-year wait. And I got a letter from the DHHL 2 months after she passed away. And it's probably a story that pretty familiar to some families. So I think that any effort that the DHHL makes to put more Hawaiians back on this aina, I 100% support. And as Mr. Watson said, it's the state and city's responsibility. It's the law. So I just kind of, I mean, there's going to be a lot of people speaking, and it's kind of really hard to follow some of these. Komoa said it really well. So I'm not going to waste much time, but I just want to say that I'm in support of all of this. And I also think that Councilwoman Kiaina did a fantastic job in kind of seeing, sometimes outside the box there's no box. You just got to look sideways. You got to look for solutions. I'm a licensed civil engineer, and I hold a general contractor's A licensed general engineering, 20 years experience. There's nothing you can't do. You want to build on the top of a mountain, you want to build on Mars, you want to build underwater, you can do it. All of these concerns are they're like, to engineers, it's semantics. Okay, you want to worry about the erosion and the soil, fine. We'll just backfill it, dig it out, piles, engineered fill, geogrids, whatever you got to do. So that's not an issue. The real issue is just getting Hawaiians back on this aina as quickly as possible. Thank you.
Mahalo. Alama.
First off, I want to mahalo the kupuna in the room, like Auntie Mapu, Uncle Komoa. Without you folks, I would not be able to stand here. For those of you who weren't here earlier, my name is Kalamakua Kawai Souza. And I know you may see me as a new member of the board. I know you see me in uniform, but I stand here as a kupa of Kailua. And I would be remiss if I didn't talk and speak, the things that I'm feeling. And truthfully, it kind of changed as this line came through. And, I'm very fortunate and privileged. I don't claim to be the expert. Again, deferring to Kupuna, but I'm very privileged and honored and humbled to have sat at the foot of Kupuna, to learn how to view our world through the lens of our Kupuna, through Kanaka. And the sentiment that I'd like to share, and I believe it addresses your question, and I don't speak on behalf of DHHL, but you asked why. Why develop an area that you consider complex? And my answer is mo'okuauhau. And in the Western sense, we think of mo'okuauhau as just genealogy, as my mother, my father, my mother's mother, my father's mother, et cetera, et cetera. In the Hawaiian lens, mo'okuauhau is intimately tied to aina. It extends beyond this familial relationship and is deeply embedded in a familiar relationship to aina. And so to me, that answers what you're talking about. When we talk about complex issues, that's the issue that we're addressing here, is how do we return to that understanding of our birthright? Mo'okuauhau is everybody in here's birthright, even non-Kanaka. But your birthright, your mo'okuauhau, doesn't live in Hawaii. For us Kanaka, it is intimately tied to Hawaii. And that is our birthright. And that's what we're addressing. Keanu is my cousin. I'm not a technical expert, but like he said, all of this technical issues that we're bringing up are semantics that can be solved. And that when we have a collective understanding of the intimacy to which we hold claim to our mo'okuauhau, our birthright, there's nothing that can stop that from happening. So I would like to leave the sentiment upon you folks to think about that. Because oftentimes the rhetoric in opposition to these types of issues is I understand, but. If you don't understand that concept of mo'okuauhau and aina encompassing that for Kanaka here in Hawaii, then quite frankly, you don't understand. That's all I'd like to say.
Hello. Yeah, you've spoken quite a bit tonight. Would you mind?
I'll be very fast, brief.
We've got 10 minutes and I've got to still get through the agenda with 2 motions. So, yeah, and there's 2
Just
people who haven't
support
spoken.
the development. Mahalo to the councilwoman, and I believe these people have a vested interest to not impact our people in a negative way that are going to live there. Mahalo.
Mahalo.
All right, to keep it short, my name's Chris Evans. I've spoken here numerous times about the Kalaheo Hillside thing. I have no problems with putting Hawaiians on the land. I think that would be great. What I do have issues with is I have a house up on Kalaheo Hillside. And I just spent $200,000 making repairs that are half the job. So the semantics, the details are important here. Because the clay soils are, you cannot just compact them down. You can't just remove them. I've had the geotechnical soil studies done on my property, and the rock that is below my property is called sapphirite. It is an eroded lava that there's pieces of it in my yard, you can take it with your hand and break it with your hand. It is not solid rock. It is not something you can, I mean, sure, you can build on anything. And I'm sure they can build on these properties as well. But I think our concerns of the people that are in the neighborhood is that it's done correctly. When Geolabs went up there, they said they were going to basically build trails. They ended up building 20-foot wide roads to do their site. So they did grade and they did do a lot of damage. And the only reason they came back to mitigate it was because of myself and others that complained. And so I think our big complaints are that if you guys are going to build up here, you better really monitor and take care of the land, because what we've seen is not, no. Okay, I'm not here to argue. I'm here to make my point. Okay.
Okay, thank you for your perspective.
This is my perspective. When Geolabs went up there, they did not follow the rules that they said they were going to do.
Yes.
Okay.
So we addressed this earlier when I
Yes,
asked
okay.
for a report from Geolabs.
Final
And then they
thing
meet
that I
with
want to
us.
get across is that, yes, you can, I put in 15 micropiles on my property. That's about half that would be required. That cost me $200,000 to do. So yes, you can build a house, but then your water pipes, your sewer pipes, your walls, your fences, anything else is also on that clay soil.
Thank you,
And
sir. I
so-
have 2 more people. I really
Yeah,
want to get to them and then we
So-
need to move on. Thank you. I'm so sorry.
I'll be quick, sorry. Aloha, I'm Malia Peters, and I want to thank the board and chair for, were you going to say something? Were you going to say something?
Oh, no,
sorry.
yes.
Sorry,
I am,
okay.
I am being asked, I am being
I know we have to
encouraged
be quick.
to keep things respectful, please.
Yes.
Everyone has an opportunity to express their perspective. Go
Yes,
ahead.
so thank you. Again, I just wanted to also acknowledge Council Member Kia Aina for just the way that she has included the community and informed us. Many of you have seen me in the past very upset about some housing developments. Some have called me a NIMBY, but really I'm a MIMBY, maybe in my backyard, because a lot of things depend. And so I've been very appreciative of just the information that we've received, the due diligence that we're being allowed to conduct. And as a 5th generation Kailua Ohana, raised with the Kalama Ohana on Kailua Beach, evicted and displaced, and my father who passed away 13 years ago, who never received his Hawaiian homes. And I never told you guys he's passed away. I still get his mail and I'm waiting. I'm waiting for, he still hasn't come up on the list, but there would be nothing more, even though I am no longer eligible to receive a Hawaiian home. I do not have enough blood quantum. I would be so happy if our younger Kanaka who do could remain in Kailua. Too many of our ohana are just, they're moved to Waimanalo to Kaneohe. So I support the project. Allow the due diligence. If the soil study says it's good, then I'm happy. If it is not good, of course, we don't want our people on there. So mahalo
Good.
nui for being here, Kali,
Mahalo.
and to the board for allowing the presentation.
Okay. Aloha ho. My name is Mapuana de Silva. I live in Ka'ohao. I have lived there for 74 years. I grew up in Kailua and with around 30% Hawaiians. Everybody I knew was Hawaiian. This is my aina. This is my land. I have not moved from our property since we moved there. We have my granddaughter's 5th generation to live there. And I have seen so many of our family and friends leave. Now there's maybe 3% of us Hawaiians. And all of you settlers can settle in Kailua because the Hawaiians left. Just like Kalama said, this is our mo'oku auho. This is the only home for us in the entire world. Wherever you came from, you can go back there. We come from here. We are here. We are not going anywhere. I support the Hawaiian Homelands Project 100, 200%. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. I want to mahalo everyone for coming out and expressing your perspectives and your concerns. We do not have much time, and we do have to get to some board business that is timely. So I am going to ask the mayor and governor's reps if you are okay with it, if we do not ask you to report this evening, because I would like to get to the bottom of our agenda, which is to work on motions. Who's disappointed?
Aloha, Chair.
Erin,
Shane
are you
Enright.
disappointed? Okay.
Aloha, Chair. Shane Enright for the mayor's office. We didn't have any concerns to report tonight. It was just a newsletter, so we're okay with that. Thank you.
Thank you, Shane. Erin, are you okay? You'll send it, and all of the reports are uploaded to the Google Drive, so they are available to the public. Councilmember Kia Aina, are you okay not giving a report? Representative Mike Lee? Lisa Martin, are you okay not giving a report this evening? Chris Lee, Scott Marayoshi, Jared Keho Kolole, and Representative Tokuda. Okay. Reports from members who attended other board meetings. I would like to move on. I'm going to request that the presentation be tabled until a future meeting on the 2025 survey response. We have 2 individual board motions. Yes. So the first motion, this was also in the Google Drive. This is about dog parks. Evan, would you like to introduce it briefly, very briefly?
Yes, this is an individual motion because we did not have quorum at the recent Parks Committee, so I introduced it. And long story short, DPR is doing a countywide survey, reevaluating how they treat dogs in parks, and they asked for us to provide input on all of the Kailua parks and whether the status of them should change to on leash if they're off leash currently, as well as considering potential off leash options. Our recommendation after consultation with the community is that we are recommending 2 off-leash dog parks, or at least the exploration, or in the case of Kabainui, the continued exploration, and then also Monowili Valley Neighborhood Park. And then for the most part, we're recommending that all dog parks or all parks in Kailua do become on-leash dog parks, except for a couple of very small ones, being Kalaheo Neighborhood Park and Kailua Hills. You know, if you thought that was all exciting, dog parks, I've learned, can be very exciting too. But if there's any discussion, that's that.
We would need a second because this is an individual motion. Is someone willing to make a second?
Second.
Okay, John White. John White seconded. Any discussion on the dog parks? I actually took a look at this. I thought the committee did a really good job. So any discussion briefly? Donna Wong?
Yes, how did you come up with the parks and the designations?
We solicited input from community members over the period of, I think, 3 months. There was obviously a lot of talk about dog parks because of the conflict at Kabainui Dog Park. And then, so that was well timed in some ways. And then I surveyed almost every park, and our noble Bill Hicks surveyed every single park personally as well. So
The list of parks was provided by the city Department of Parks. So it was all it's all in the Google Drive. They said these are the parks in your community that we would like input on. And basically it was like, do you want it leashed, off leashed, or no dogs? I think those were the 3 options. Okay. Any other very brief questions?
One.
Yes.
I was
Kellyanne.
just wondering if you could briefly say why the parks that have no dog privileges recommended, what was the reasoning for that?
too small would disrupt the community.
Too small would disrupt the community were the reasons why.
Thank you.
Okay, are we ready to call for the vote? We still have quorum? Okay. I would like to call for the vote. Emily Andrade.
Do we need to open it up for discussion?
Certainly, sorry, whoever's remaining. Is there any discussion on the dog park issue in the communities? Yes.
For the parks that have been designated with the fencing? How much is it gonna cost?
Monowili, there's no info on that, but as far as it relates to Kabainui, the estimate was around $100,000, and they definitely do not have budget for it now. So I just got more info on that tonight. I'm happy to talk to you offline about it too.
Lavani, I have a comment.
Jeremy.
Yeah, I'm trying to digest all of this information, in a matter of minutes. So I would like more time to kind of think about it before we vote.
Well, it was sent out in advance and was in the materials.
Everything's in
including
the
background
Google Drive.
So
And
I
in
read
the
it.
interest of time, I mean, you're always welcome to, abstain.
Yep.
I'm going to call for the vote because I want to get this done tonight, and there's one more motion. David, it's in your agenda. This is a motion basically that is making recommendations on the different parks in our community and whether they should dogs should be leashed, whether there should not be dogs permitted, and which parks that dogs could run freely in that are unleashed. And there's a map of all of the areas that is in the Google Drive.
Follow on question. Aikai community, Aikai Parks in my district, and what is the current policy for lead or dogs in Aikai Park?
Go ahead, Evan.
That material is in the Google Drive as well. I don't have it memorized, but in general, we recommended if there were a few that were currently no dogs allowed. We recommended on leash, except for the ones that we said no.
So you're
to.
recommending introducing dogs into Aikahi Park as opposed to them being restricted right now?
Aikahi Park, Aikahi Community Park, is on leash is the recommendation. Yeah.
What's the current policy?
Like I said, it's in the Google Drive, but happy to look it up for you.
I would like to vote on this. We do have one other motion. Both of these are timely because the city wanted the neighborhood board to weigh in before September. So this is our opportunity. But if you're
prohibited?
hesitant about the result, you can also follow up with the department.
I have the Google Drive open. Dogs are prohibited in Aikahi Kalaheo Neighborhood Park, Kalama, Kailua, Keola Hills, Maunawili, and Maunawili currently.
Evan, there's quite a few questions. What would you like to do as the introducer of this motion?
Yeah, I mean, I think you're saying there's more questions from more board
It
members.
seems like there are questions. Gary has a question. Kellyanne has a question.
I don't have a question. I was trying to provide the info he was asking because I have the
Oh.
Google Drive open. So I just
Yes.
listed the dog parks that prohibit. And that includes his Aikahi
What
Park.
is,
he
what
asked.
is the question at hand right now is Aikahi Park.
Yes, and Aikahi currently is a city park without dog privileges.
Without dog privileges.
Thanks, Kellyanne.
So the recommendation is to have leashed. On leash. This is not set in stone. These are recommendations. We're advisory. Okay, let's call for the vote. Emily Andrade, how do you vote? Yes. Oh, Gary wants,
to move this to the next board meeting because there's not enough time to consider this.
the city parks was requesting us to get this to them before, by
They're
September.
okay. They'll be okay if we go another month. Believe me, they'll be okay.
Okay, all right. That there is an opportunity. Are you saying you'd like to table this until the next meeting? Okay, Gary is proposing that we table this until the September meeting to be able to have board members to give have the opportunity to review it and be prepared and have any questions answered at that time. So can we take a hand vote if you agree to table this? Hearing no, seeing no objections. You guys okay to table it to the next meeting? Okay, I see hands. Okay, we will table that. Are you objecting to tabling it or you're voting in support of tabling it? Yes, let's table it because we're beyond our time and Olelo is overstaying graciously. We have another timely motion. This I would like to ask okay, who would like to introduce this motion? This is just a motion on participating on the KNB, participating in the Kailua Emergency Preparedness Fair. Jade would like to offer this motion. Do I have a second? Jeremy is going to second it. Okay, so this motion is, I'll read it. The Kailua Neighborhood Board supports participating in the Kailua Emergency Preparedness Fair at the Kailua Town Center on Saturday, September 13th, 2025 from 9 a.m. to noon. So is there any discussion on this motion? This is our participation in the emergency fair. All right. Can we do a hand vote of who supports this motion that we participate in the emergency preparedness fair? All those in favor, raise your hand. Hearing no objections, seeing no objections, this motion carries. Approval of minutes, July 3rd. Any amendments or corrections to the minutes? No. Committee reports. Everyone stand on your report. Committee membership motion. Would any member here like to join a committee? Evan was present at what? At the Community and Government Relations. This is a committee. So he was present, but he was marked absent. If you could please change that in the minutes. Would any member like to join a committee? Yes, hold on. Emily? Oh, wait. Emily and, oh, we have two, Malia and Emily. Emily, which committee would you like to join? Oh, well, you have to ask to join a committee. So come next month. Yes, Malia. Okay, Malia would like to join the homeless committee. Anybody object? We need support on that committee. Thank you so much for offering to step up. And we'll add her. Okay, Chair's report. Committee agendas for September 2025 are due to the Chair by Sunday, August 24th, 2025. Meeting is adjourned at 10 p.m. I would be like, oh, I'd be like, oh my gosh. Like, oh, serious. Good to see you. It's been a long time.